So, on today's show, we are getting to know, I believe you may be our first West Coast friend since I'm in Delaware, Andre.
Oh,
Yeah, Andre, man, thanks for being a couple hours behind us and catching up with us at the same time. Appreciate it.
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure indeed.
And so, little Facebook stalking on my part. Are you in Washington currently?
Yes, indeed. Washington, near Seattle, but just outside because I don't like to be too in the people. You know what I mean? I like some privacy, some trees, some quietude, so I can if I needed to be in the city, I can drive in there. But I'm a little bit out of it.
Gotcha. And that was like a pre-coronavirus decision, or
Oh yeah. So I did used to live in Seattle, back in let's see, it's 2020. I'm so bad with time. Like I've let go of concept of time a long time ago, and now I just don't even know when anything is. But
I think many people are going to adopt that after this Corona thing.
ah,
Like the whole sleep schedule is just fucking out the window, man. At this point,
which is great. I really enjoy that. Honestly, it's beautiful.
100%. It is. It's just your body fucking syncing itself up. You just feel better.
I completely agree. But yeah, I used to live downtown in the middle of everything. Maybe when I was going to college, so like maybe 8 years ago or something like that. And it was cool just because hey, I could walk to places, but it was just overstimulating. I feel like, and I couldn't get away from it. I like peace.
Is there homelessness? I've always heard, and I've never been. I don't think I've actually been west of the Mississippi,
hmm
but homelessness that big of a deal out there, or am I having a misconception?
So no, so it is pretty big in Seattle, especially. We have, I mean, tent cities everywhere. You go down some of the major streets in Seattle, and I mean, there's tents everywhere. There's trash everywhere because obviously they can't, do anything with it.
Right.
And people walking around. It's sequestered into certain spots in the city, but also under the overpasses. There's a bunch of tents and just around the freeway. There's just tents everywhere. So it's pretty big and it's getting worse.
Yeah, is there a lie to that? Like, dude, fucking Seattle's rainy, right? Like,
hmm
it's not Los Angeles where you can enjoy sleeping outside the majority of the time, I would think.
Totally. Like I don't know how they do it. Honestly, if I was in that situation, I would make no, I don't know how I'd make some money and I'd get myself down to Los Angeles because
Right?
then at least it's sunny. But they live there. They got the tents. There is a lot of help from maybe like public or private organizations. I keep seeing there's a lot of vans driving around and they sharing socks and food and water. They're
Yeah.
called like hope vans and stuff like that. So there's a lot of support from the people to maintain the humanity of it all and to allow
Yeah.
them to just have some sort of existence and be seen. So maybe that's helpful.
Yeah, I could, and I guess not to dehumanize, you don't want to be insensitive, but it almost, to me, I kind of get the picture of like feeding a stray cat, and then all of a sudden you have like 5 to 10 stray
Hmm.
cats all fighting for the bowl because the thing is, organisms, we search for resources.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, why would you give up that certainty for good weather when you know, all right, man, I'm fucking ready under overpass? Like, I got my tent, I know how to deal with the rain and the shitty weather, but I know I'll have blank services provided. Like, that's got
Mm-hmm.
to be pretty comforting to them. I
Okay.
hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Maybe they don't have that certainty if they do travel down there. So, but I'm assuming maybe California would also have something of that nature because I traveled down to California, I think a couple months ago, right before the Corona thing hit. I was in California and it was the same amount of homeless tents here and there. So I'm assuming they might have a similar situation. Who knows? People are people, and there's always going to be people who are going to be well off and want to help, and people who are going to be not so well off and need that help. And there's always going to be a connection. At least in my world, there is.
Right. Yeah. I had spoken to a guy from Spain, and I hadn't Dolly, and I hadn't posted his podcast yet.
hmm
But he was from a well-to-do family in Uruguay,
hmm
and wound up going to Barcelona and embracing homeless life.
mm
Homeless as like I want to be self-sustaining. I want to
hmm
figure out if I can make this. Can I depend on myself instead of trying to depend on like some like societal structure to
hmm
support me and manipulate my way through? And like the way he spoke about it, it's almost like romanticized.
hmm
And I don't know if part of that's just because he's in Barcelona and you just fucking think like, oh shit, man, you're in Barcelona, like that's fucking dope. And like, do Barcelona homeless people think like, oh shit, you're homeless in like Seattle? That's
Hmm.
dope. Or are like these homeless, are the homeless people kind of by choice
Hmm.
wanting to stay that way? Like, it's always baffled me, the homeless epidemic. I feel like it's pretty easy to, there's support where if you need to find a job and save some money, man, and like get off streets, I feel like
Hmm.
that opportunity is really there.
Well, it definitely is, and I actually I'm surprised or I'm happy we're talking about this because I spend a good part of my time when I'm out in the world just talking to homeless people because honestly
Oh, really?
it's yeah, oh yeah, it's a fascinating conversation with and the kind of the characters that I meet are always very interesting, valuable, and sometimes you get somebody that's really deep in like meth or something like that, and you just can't connect, and I'm like, all right, something crazy is going on here, back away. But so a lot of it, there is some that's by choice. Personally, I've also romanticized that same idea. I have a van that I'm building up just in case I wanted to go out and just like say fuck it all. I have
Right.
that, and then just see what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
And then again, yeah, just to step away from society and just be present in the moment and just kind of see what happens. Because I found a lot of magic can come into your life that way, where you just have no expectations, and just allow life to flow. But yeah, with a lot of the homeless people I've chatted with, either they will have a sort of job that they'll just keep them sustained enough so to have like a cell phone and just some food, but they just don't want that sort of they don't want that. They can get around and they have that freedom to just move around, and maybe they have friends, maybe they don't. Maybe the street is not the worst thing that could happen. And there's others that have maybe gone down like a bad path, heroin, meth, alcoholism, and they're just kind of in a place of retribution, and they're trying to build their life back together. And again, that's something. Having a home or having something that's stable is not necessarily needed for them, and they're just they're doing a job, and they're staying with the people like them because they can connect. They're going to AA meetings, and they're just taking it day by day.
Right.
And I've talked to people who've had millions of dollars, went homeless, and then they're just like, yeah, it's cool, this is life. And it's weird to see how things can shift. It's weird to see how society even views you, and then takes the humanity out of you. But at the same time, you do get a sense of freedom because you're no longer confined to these ideas that the rest of us have to
Yeah,
abide by.
right? Like fucking responsibilities are basically out the window.
Exactly. It's survive. It's like, all right, what do I need to do to just survive? That's it. And that's almost liberating. You don't have to worry about, oh, what's my mom gonna think? Do I have to do this for my brother? Oh, I have an appointment at 6 o'clock. Oh, my doctor. All of these thoughts, anxieties, just past, present, or past and future, kind of go away, and then you're stuck in the present. And if you ever read, any sort of like spiritual doctrines, it's all about how can you find the present.
Yeah. No, yeah. Wow. So maybe they are some of the most enlightened. I guess that kind of goes with like the whole Buddhist thing too, right? Like
Hmm.
Buddhists get pretty well off because they're in a monastery,
Hmm.
but they live like they're homeless. Like they're all about monotony. They're all
Hmm.
about doing nothing, right? They're all about being present,
Hmm.
thinking. Um, so maybe they are some more of the enlightened people within our culture.
It could be a possibility, but at the same time, there is a lot of health issues, mental health
Mental.
issues that are happening.
At the
So
end of the day, you want to have like climate control bed. I feel
I,
like, right, if you're talking to yourself, that's the thing that's going to win out for me,
oh
right?
yeah,
I just want fucking a mattress and 69 degrees, right? Like a ceiling fan would be fucking lovely.
or again like California, right? You got a nice little breeze, you got water, go swim in the ocean, dry off in the sun, go find a banana, and then like that's it. Like I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
I just we were watching a lot of Naked and Afraid, and my mind just went to like people being monkeys, and these monkeys just like living the best life on like a tropical island because it's
Mm.
like, yeah, I just fucking swim, I dry off, I nap, climb some trees, coconuts, bananas, and then repeat. Like call it a day, do it again, man. And
And there is a peace in that. There's a zen in that. It's like, yeah, all right, I did what I need to do.
yeah, I mean, like
That's it.
that is the simplicity. The
Yeah.
phone thing does fuck me up, man. Like going through bus stops and
Mm-hmm.
seeing, you don't know if they're homeless, but they're out there a lot
Mm-hmm.
in different, cities I'll go to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's amazing how they always have smartphones and
Mm-hmm.
they're always finding plugs. They always have the connection. Like that's something that's been a huge shift for me to be like, it's almost like the poor kids with expensive basketball sneakers.
Mhm.
You're like, if you're poor, how do you afford expensive basketball sneakers?
Mhm.
Well, if you're homeless, how come you have an iPhone 10?
Mhm.
Like that's a couple $100 phone.
Mhm.
That's something that it's hard for me to wrap my mind around too.
Mhm. Well, that's one of the most, I guess, humanizing things that they have. I honestly, I don't know. Again, it's not that hard to make money, especially if all you have is time. So you can stand there and you can ask people, hey, a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there, and like personally, like I fasted for a week for 10 days, without food, with water, obviously. So food is not even that huge on that list, especially if you can get past the fear of, oh no, I'm gonna starve, and then just again be in the present moment. Food can be a very last resort. You can have it every couple of days, be comfortable, like, and your organisms can be fine. You can still thrive. So you can still put money away and then focus on something that's going to get you either out of where you're at if you want to, or at least keep you connected with and inhuman with anything in life. So then, like right now, the phone is everything. The phone can take you out of being homeless because you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. You can find
Right.
Wi-Fi anywhere. You can find plugs on almost every light post. So they can
Yeah.
still be a part of society, and not feel so alienated. The biggest alienation is other people just looking at them like they're subhuman, and that's the biggest thing that's disgusting. But it's so real. You see it everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And right. Like, so is it a stigma of them being dirty? Is it movies portraying them as fucking like just crazy? Is it fear to like face them and be like, I could do more and I don't want to be put in a position where I'm asked to do more because it inconveniences me?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts like why people are skittish towards them?
That's a very good. That's a very good question. I think partially it would be possibly that there is a portrayal that, oh, they're all drug addicts because why else would be on the street? Because I think
Right.
that's trickled down from our parents, from grandparents, from our friends. That's just been around movies, wherever that comes from. And I think at the same time, yeah, it's we're living in our life and they're living their life and they're asking, and we know that maybe a little contribution could help them, but we don't want to feel overexerted, maybe feel pressured even. Because when you see a homeless person, I know when I see a homeless person, I look at them as like, oh, I know I could help you. I wish I could help you more, but at the same time, you chose this, and I want you to. I don't want to alleviate that suffering in order for you to not move forward. So that's why I no longer give money to homeless people. I'll give them, I'll talk to them. If I have food, I'll give them food. Be like, hey, here's this,
Right.
and that's how I'll help. If at very last resort, I'll give them money just because if you want to survive, if this is how you want to live, then find a way to give value back, and you will get that exchange of money. But some of them they approach that with the pity. They want to get pity, and then all right, now you get money, and that's not adding to society. If you want to be outside of society, great, do that. I respect that. I've had the same feeling, and one day, hopefully, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. Who knows what's going to happen? But you can't expect something for nothing. So maybe there's something ingrained in everybody's psyche of that. But honestly, I can't. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking like for me, man, I almost have like this fear of I don't know if it fucking matters to you if you get locked up. Like
Hmm.
if I'm walking by and you say something to me, or if I whatever give you $1 and you happen to see in my wallet, like maybe you think I got more money and you start following me and like shit gets real.
Hmm.
Like, what's your if you're already homeless, what's your deterrent for abiding by the law and respecting my rights as a citizen? You could just come and fuck me up. Like, what's a night in jail for you, right? Like, what does that matter?
I mean, that's a good point. That is a very good point.
I think, like,
I would also say there's a similar mentality with anybody else you see on the streets. Like what is their incentive to follow the law? Because night in jail is nothing for a lot of people. And
yeah,
especially
but
if they're hungry, they'll
the
take your money for no reason.
yeah, well, if you're talking about, I guess I'm just generalizing in home. Like, what is the uneasy feeling when you're around homeless people? And I
Hmm.
think for me, it's the fear that they're already almost outside of society by not
Hmm.
having a home,
Hmm.
whether by choice or not.
Of course.
And you're like, well, if you're outside of society in that aspect, are you also outside of societal norms with like
Hmm.
respect for the law, personal space, personal property rights? And I don't know. I really think that's kind of it for me.
I mean, that would make sense.
Huh.
The one thing I would say again is just like, if they're outside of society, does that mean they're outside of moral standards? Because I feel like morality is outside of all sort of civilization or society or any or even laws. If just because something is legal doesn't mean it's moral, and just because something's moral doesn't mean it's legal. So like that's where, like, at least for me, I go out there and you can see, or at least you can talk to him and be like, all right, is he okay? Like, where is his
Right.
mind's at? If he's amoral, then you kind of pick that up real quick. They're gonna push your boundaries. They're not gonna respect what you say. I've rarely had that happen with me. Actually, I don't think I've ever had that happen with me, except for if that individual is clearly high on something really strong, and then they're
Right.
just they're just there to just leech on you and then just try to take anything, and you're like, listen, back off. But
Wow.
most people, if you can have a conversation with them, usually, morally speaking, they're fine. Even if they're broke, they actually become more, I think, empathetic because they're out in the streets. They have nothing but themselves, so they create a stronger sense of community within each other, and they don't blame other people. Maybe there's some that do, but they don't blame you for their circumstance. They know that they got themselves into that, whether it's through alcoholism or drug use or just making a bad business decision. I've known
Right.
plenty of people who just made a bad move and it's like, well, shit, now I'm homeless. So it's like legality and morality in my book, they never mix because who's writing the laws. So it's a fair fear to have, but I believe I think that's also just been conditioned on us.
Yeah, right. Probably
Hmm.
just watching fucking late night shows when I was 10 years old of like NYPD Blue or something.
Oh,
You
flip yeah, dude! Like that's prime time gold. You walking down the street, this dark alley, homeless man sitting there, and he
you hear the
sees you. Oh,
audio,
stab, stab,
right?
stab! That's a
Yeah,
great show. That's a great show.
fucking, it's been done so much. And like that's just where like it's the whole like, is it society or is it what's it like? Is art emulating culture or is culture emulating art? And it's like, are these people trying to create this fear or is that fear actually there?
Mm-hmm.
You know, actually goes back almost all, well, I guess Batman's parents didn't die by homeless guys because I thought it was the Joker unless they've redone that. But it's that same thing that like Allie, you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
There there's no law to help you, and it's like survival shit. And
Mm-hmm.
if I don't know, if you engage in it, it's a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I want to, dude, 10-day fast? Like you really fucking ate nothing for 10 days?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've practiced fasting
How
for
can
a
you, how
while.
can you say, oh yeah, like that's like, oh yeah, 10 days. Like,
I mean, you start with one day, and then you're like, okay, that wasn't bad. And then you're like, all right, let's do 2 days. And you're like, all right, that wasn't bad either. And then you do 3 days, and you're like, okay, let's do 7 days. You just kind of push it. I don't know if I do more than 10 days. There's no reason to, unless I want to, like, I don't know, be Jesus or something. But
the
it's just
reason you can.
so I practice a lot of health. I was a pre med student. I know, so I understood a lot of what happens in the body and all that stuff. And instead of going to medicine, I went into art for various
Yeah.
reasons, and I'm sure I'll get into it. But so now it's all about preventative medicine for personally. So initially, it was that it was just all right. How can I make sure I can keep myself in a vital state, in a very healthy state of just living, and at the same time, I do practice a lot of philosophy and like stoicism in a sense as well. So it's about pushing your mind to a place where you're not comfortable, you're uncomfortable, you're in the unknown, and there's things weighing down on you, just the attachment to food, like we need to eat, right? And that's the biggest thing that people would be afraid to let go of, and it's facing your fears. So for me, initially, it's like, all right, this is going to be good for the body because medicinally speaking, all the cells will regenerate, all the bad cells will destroyed, it gets reused, and new cells will come up, and your immune system gets a boost. Like there's a lot of beautiful things that happens when you
Dude,
fast.
that's kind of weird to me, just from a basic standpoint. Like you think about like eat your veggies.
Mm-hmm.
Veggies give you nutrients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like vitamins type shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where you get your energy from, your calorie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always been odd to me when someone says, "Yeah, by not eating, it helps my body to be healthier. By
Mm-hmm.
not ingesting vitamins, I'm healthier."
Mm-hmm.
Like, why does the body do that?
Okay, so there's a few. Okay, so there's a few when you fast. Um, when you're intaking food all the time, which most of us do, to intake food all the time,
Oh,
you're
especially,
yeah
and we're fucking grazing right now in this Corona courtesy. Good Lord.
So yeah, so if people are fasting now, they'll be better for them because they're intermittently fasting. Like that's one of the best things people can practice. This is how our body evolved in the very beginning as well. You know, you're fasting for a while, you go get some food, you digest it, you internalize it, and then you're fasting for a while as well. So when you have, especially with American diet, when you have food inside of you all the time, the energy that's usually it would be um, distributed around your body to maintain homeostasis, as in your cells reproducing, cell cycle, going without. Um, if there's a mutation that happens, usually you have like a few stops in your cell cycle. They'll say, oh, there's a mutation that happened. We don't need that to occur. Otherwise, it could lead to a cancerous cell, which then can repopulate. So it has stopping points to make sure that it doesn't do that. If you're always full, if you have a lot of food inside of you and you're never processing, if you're never getting that blood to circulate everywhere else, because when you're eating, that blood will be more focused in your stomach to aid digestion. Um, you
Uh,
won't be you won't be functioning fully around everywhere else. Your brain will be maybe at 70% capacity, or 70%. Let's just say I'm just making up these numbers. Your body, the rest of the body will be at 70%. So most of your energy is digest this food so we can push it through. Because if you don't, it's going to stay there. It's going to be rotten, and you're going to get sick. So the focus is on the food. When you don't have food in your stomach, it's going to say, all right, cool, we're good. We have what we need. Let's go put our attention on your ache in your finger here. Let's put our attention on your immune system. It's lacking a little bit. You're getting a little cough. Let's put some resources there. And oh, you got some old cells here that are doing something funky. Let's destroy them. Let's make new ones. Replenish that. So when you're giving yourself, you're basically giving your body a pause to say, all right, let's do a check on the whole system and see what we can do that will make it run better. But if you're taking its attention away, it won't be ever to do that, and that's when you start getting cancerous cells, and they're just going to run rampant. And your body's like, wait, where'd that come from? I didn't get a chance to see that.
got you. Because because it's almost like if you never let your stomach give your stomach a chance to sleep, right? Like, could you imagine if you didn't fucking sleep, how inept you would be, and you
Oh,
never gave the brain a chance to just fucking shut down and like reprogram? That's
just
what it
horrible.
sounds like, man.
I love sleep. Sleep is so nice. Ooh.
Dude, it's fucking. Are you a napper?
Oh fuck yeah! I took a nap right before this, bro. I was like, oh, it's like 3 o'clock. I'm gonna talk. It's sunny outside, so I was like, I'm just gonna lay in this grass. And my puppy came up, and I was like, oh, puppy, and then just looked. I mean, not look, just kind of took a nap in the daylight. It was real nice.
Yeah. So do you set like a predetermined like 10, 15 minute hour, or do you just like let it happen kind
I,
of a thing?
just let it happen, baby. If when I feel it take over, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna lay down. I try to make sure not to like get into bed, because if I get into bed, then it'll just extend into like hour and a
Yeah.
half, 2 hours, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm gonna work tonight. But yeah, I'll just find a weird place, couch, or just uncomfortably on my bed, just
Yeah.
over the, and then yeah, 10, 15, 20 minutes, sometimes half hour, and then I come back and I'm like, my gosh, the world is bright again. It's
Right.
magical.
So people talk to me about meditating,
Uh-huh.
and I feel like I'm more of a napper as opposed to a meditator. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you can meditate while napping or nap while meditating. Do you do both?
So I do both. Napping is definitely not meditating, and meditating is not napping. A lot of people who do get into meditation, they do end up napping, and they think they're meditating, and that's not what meditation is. Meditation is more of being consciously almost being consciously awake, or
Conscious
consciously
napping?
asleep.
Yeah,
Consciously
consciously
asleep. Yeah.
napping.
Yeah. So in a sense, like, get to a point where you are, you can be focused on one thing and one thing only, and not allow other things to kind of go through your mind. And initially, if you've never meditated before, you will start getting thoughts running through your mind. And initially, it's your job to just notice when those thoughts are coming, and then just acknowledge them and let them pass until you get to a moment of silence, and then just again be conscious in that silence. Too many people would be in that silence and just fall asleep, but you want to be present in that silence, and then extend that silence as much as possible. And then once you get into deeper meditation, I mean, the goal is to make life meditation. It's a yoga, that you do it just to be there, to do it singularly with intentional focus on this one thing. So like right now, you and I are meditating, unless you're sitting on your phone and texting while you're talking to me, kind of thing. If
Oh yeah,
when,
that's stuff.
So this is a meditation because you and I are solely focused on one thing, and that thing is just this conversation and this storyline to progress forward in whatever way it will.
Interesting. I like how you put that. I hadn't thought about it that way, but it's funny, and part of me is actually been enjoying doing these little podcast things because I think back to like when you go over to like people's homes or you go grab a drink with somebody or something,
Mm.
and like it's always pissed me off like if I'm speaking to someone and all of a sudden like the phone becomes a thing or the fucking TV becomes a thing, or if there's all these other things and you're like, wait, I thought we were fucking talking, man. Like, why are we allowing all these other things to take away from what we're doing right now? Like,
Hmm.
just fucking sit here and talk. And it's funny, but like if you get up with someone, you're like, hey man, I want to talk to you, record it and put it up. You can have fucking 2 3 hour conversations. Time flies by, and you're like, holy shit, that was not only pleasant but like fulfilling.
Hmm.
It's you gain understanding about things. You give thought to things you've never given thought to before, and it's been really interesting for me to just see what that's done. I don't know, almost for me, just
Hmm.
as the talker and as a listener.
I
It's
completely agree. Like
yeah,
for me, podcasting, like the very first episode I did, it unlocked like literally unconditional love toward humanity because I understood that people have their own stories. People live their own lives that other people aren't going to understand. They make decisions that other people aren't going to understand. And even if you know somebody, it doesn't mean that they're telling you everything, nor are you interested in hearing everything. So one of my first episodes was I was interviewing a buddy of mine. I was like, "Hey, let's do this. Let's just find out what's going on." And he just unleashed this whole life that I was completely unaware of. I was like, "What? What?" It's like this is amazing. And then it just went off, and it was such a beautiful experience. And to think something so simple as a conversation could do that, you know?
right. Yeah, it's the busier the society gets, which I guess is like what I think of when I think of that fasting and that meditating.
Mm.
It's just you become so overwhelmed with doing more so than being. I guess if
Hmm.
that makes sense to
Oh
try to
yeah.
sound like philosophical.
Hmm.
Uh, what would you do for eating wise? Would you eat once a day? Would you like? I'm interested in this fasting
Hmm.
thing. Would you eat like 3 meals a day, 2,000 2,500 calories a day, or like what do you like to do?
Like normally,
Yeah, like what do you think's ideal?
everybody is different. Like I know in the medical community, there's like you need to eat 2,000 calories, 2,500 calories a day, and make sure to eat this, that, the other thing. Five. Every single body is different. Every single individual is an individual, and if you actually want to follow some sort of diet, you need to go and get your blood check. You need to get your DNA check and understand where you stand, where your needs are. Because certain things for you are going to be very beneficial, and they're going to be very harmful for me, and vice versa. So so individually speaking, like health is an individualistic journey. So for me personally, like the biggest thing that's allowed me to get to this point and just live a healthy lifestyle is cut out non-organic stuff. 'Cause that for very simple reasons, or non-organic things have a trace of pesticides in there, and it destroys the human body. It destroys any sort of living life forms. So as soon as you get that out of there, and you're not continually putting pesticides into your body in minute
Amounts?
amounts. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the minute amounts, but that stuff sits there and continually is in your body, so you're poisoning yourself. It's like taking just a hair of cyanide every single day. Like, yeah, you're not gonna die, but bro, you got cyanide in you every fucking day. Okay,
Yeah.
get that out of there. You're already gonna feel 100 times better. After that, if you want to continue, then all right, find out. All right, what what do I like? What do I want to eat? How do I want to sustain my body? And like you said, vegetables. You got your nutrients, phytonutrients. You got your amino acids. Make sure you get all the amino acids, right? Because that's the building block of your cells, of your mind, of everything. So what do you need for your body to actually build itself? What are the building blocks? You want to build a house? You need brick and mortar, let's say,
Right.
right? You want to build your body? You need all 20 amino acids. How do you get them? Vegetables, maybe supplements. You need fat. You need good fat, right? And what do you not need? Well, tell you right thing right now. You don't need processed sugar, and you can decide: do I want to eat
Yeah.
that just for fun, or do I want to get rid of that
Mm.
and just focus solely on what is necessary? And then you just
This
make a decision.
one thing I wonder if it'll happen with this coronavirus, and one of the original doctors, I believe he was from Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
was on a Joe Rogan podcast talking about the
Mm-hmm.
coronavirus at some point will just sweep the South because the South has such high obesity rates.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now, I thought I even heard on the radio today where like pre-existing health conditions, a lot of people were like, okay, like asthma or respiratory issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now they're finding a correlation in a lot of these deaths in America are people who are obese, like
Mm-hmm.
your height, I mean, body weight ratios are off.
Mm-hmm.
And either you're just hella inactive or you have no fucking idea how to eat decent food.
Mm-hmm.
And it blows my mind that people are so into processed, cheap shit and
Mm-hmm.
think that that's good for you. Like, when in your life would you be like, oh, this is cheap, well, it must be good?
Ugh. Marketing, my friend, marketing. They did a great job. They did a great job.
So it makes me wonder, like, will this kind of be an awakening of like, and part of it too is like all these people have all this extra time, and you see memes on Facebook and shit about like people coming out of the Corona quarantine gaining like 20, 30 pounds. And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking running and working out more than I ever have before. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like just have this abundance of time. I'm cooking more than I have before. I'm eating healthier. It's odd to me that if that's not happening societally,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why it wouldn't be.
The lack of education, and that is 100%. Because yeah, if you don't know, because I remember a time when I didn't know, like that you should cook
Yeah,
or
you're
that
a
you should
fucking adult.
exercise.
You know, you're 18. Like you're just an ignorant kid just eating food and worried about your like your hormones and the girl liking you or some shit, right? Like you're
Exactly.
not a fucking grown man with a family being like, you know, Popeyes 3 times a week ain't the best. The fucking mashed potatoes and cheese and like a Coca-Cola that's 40 fucking ounces. Like, oh yeah, let me get some double biscuit and gravy. Like it makes no sense.
And so I was an educator for about 4 years. I was a substitute, so I got to see a lot of the educational system. And first of all, at least where I worked, health was getting cut back. Like middle school wasn't even getting a health class.
Oh yeah.
Nutrition wasn't even being covered. And I'm like, what are you even talking about then? Like nutrition is the biggest thing that these people need when they go when they leave. Because yeah, they didn't teach me. I barely learned it through like all the human body classes, or the anatomy classes, physiology classes. They gave me something, but it wasn't practical knowledge. Only after did I get out of it and just start kind of thinking. And my mom's like, "Why do you eat like shit, bro? Like, eat well." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And then she broke it down in like practical terms. And I was like, "Oh, this makes sense. Why
Right.
didn't anybody tell me before?" Like I was 24 at this point, 23 maybe, still eating crap, still like drinking, still going to McDonald's, all this shit, and
Yeah.
feeling like shit. And the moment I cut all that out, oh my gosh,
Well, it's
oh
funny because
my
you don't even
gosh,
realize you feel like shit, right?
you
Like if you
don't.
always felt like shit, it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually what good feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like what makes me, when you say like 10 days with fasting, like that freaks me out, dude. Like I wake up and fucking within 15 minutes of me waking up, dude, I want to eat. Like
Mm-hmm.
my body is just conditioned to fucking grab some food, and maybe I got like a high metabolism or whatever, but I'm a fucking eater and I
Mm-hmm.
eat well. Like I'll eat decent stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
10 days flips me the fuck out. And
Mm-hmm.
you almost wonder, like, do people feel the same way about like no nuggets? I don't get a spicy chicken sandwich. That flips me the fuck out. And they just don't want to take the step to be like, dude, grilled chicken can feel just as good.
Mm-hmm. I believe that it's a conditioning, just like wanting food, wanting a certain kind of food is also a conditioning, and people don't want to face that because there's a fear. Oh, what if I lose it? What if I never have it again? And then you start making deals with the devil. Okay, one more time, and then one more time happens, another time, and another time, and then you never uh, dealing with the underlying issue of like just personal control, self control.
Yeah, yeah. The personal self discipline's big.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with the extra time? So if you're fasting, you're
Oh.
not cooking, you're not fucking doing dishes, you're not going to the grocery store. Like, dude, that's almost like that's got to open up 4 to 5 hours of your day, right?
Bro, I am so active. Like when you get way more energy. Like
Really?
toward the tail end. This is why I stop. I get lightheaded. I'll lay down. I'll stand up. I get lightheaded. I was like, all right, if I keep doing this, I think I'm gonna just like get up and not like just not
Not
see
up.
anything. Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna end it here. But yeah, initially for the first like okay, so first day is nothing. Especially like for me, maybe for other people it's different. First day is nothing. I don't notice it. I drink a shit ton of water regardless.
Are you like
Sec
first day, your stomach's just not fucking like you're just not making weird noises when you're sitting next to somebody feeling embarrassed.
So maybe I'm a bad person to ask. I don't feel hunger anymore. Like that doesn't happen to me. Like it hasn't happened to me in years. I don't like it just doesn't come.
Dude,
Um,
lunch and my fucking stomach feels like I have died. Like it just sounds like I'm about to like explode in diarrhea. It's just bubbling and bubbling. And I'm like, it's the most awkward thing. You're standing next to somebody and you're just whatever having a conversation and
Mm.
there's like bubble guts and you're like, I'm sorry.
That's hilarious. I love that. Yeah,
It's awkward. Yeah, that's funny. Funny in retrospect.
yeah. Maybe initially, if first, maybe hunger was present. I'm sure it did, because I'm sure I remember being hungry. There was a time I used to be hungry, but as you start doing, intermittent fasting, and then 1 day, 2 day, whatever, it goes away eventually. At least for me, again. And then yeah, second day you might feel a little sluggish because your body is changing from processing carbohydrates, because most of us have a carbohydrate rich diet, and your brain's running on glucose to ketones. So you're starting running on fat, your own fat, and the body's starting to burn fat to process to work. So then third day, you get another energy spike, and then from then on, as long as you go, like I exercised every single day when I was fasting. I've done a full like theater production for a whole weekend of fasting, and I'm dancing for like 2 hours, and I'm singing and I'm reciting lines, and I'm fasting, and everybody's like, "What the fuck are you doing this for?" I was like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. It's personal." And everybody's always afraid for my health. I was like, guys, chill. Like, if you knew
Yeah.
what I knew, you just chill.
Well, so that's part. I want to ask you like, how much weight do you lose, and do you hit a point where you're like, is part of the fasting just a regular ritual for you, or do you like step on a scale and you're like, yo, it's time to fucking just stop for a couple days so that my body can just get back in.
No. So this is something I want to tell to everybody. Do not fast for weight loss. You will fuck yourself up. If your intentions are to lose weight, there are better ways to do it, because if you start fasting for weight loss, that is called anorexia, and you will create a mental disorder and a body disorder. Don't do it that way. Personally, like, weight hasn't played an issue since middle school. Like, I was a chubby kid in middle school, and that sucked, and that had its issues with my confidence and just life in general. But
Right.
once I slendered up and I started exercising, that wall went away, and especially when I just found self-love. Like right now, if I could be 600 pounds. I mean, that would suck, but I could still have a
Are
sense of
you sure
self-love
that's
for myself.
actually possible? 600 pounds. That's a lot of fucking pounds, man.
It's a
Like,
lot of pounds.
at that point,
Say again?
do your organs function at that point? I feel like shit would just be so compressed that like something somewhere
Mm.
just gonna be like, dude, I'm fucking done. I'm not dealing with this strain of like pumping against all this lard. If I'm dealing with 600 pounds of flesh.
The body is a resilient beast. It's the most amazing machine known to anyone. I mean, there's been cases of people like 1,000 pounds, close to that even. And they're bedridden, they can't move, but they're just sitting there. They're eating and they're living, and they'd have to like get a forklift to get them out of their house to go to the hospital
Oh
to
yeah,
take
yeah,
care of him.
yeah, yeah. They take out the whole fucking wall. Like they take
Yeah,
out the side of the house and they like helicopter lift you.
yeah. So the body is resilient as fuck.
Can you
Uh,
imagine a person that gets to that point, man? Like you weren't always that person. How do you get to that point where you're just fucking like on a bed
hmm.
eating or consuming, just that inactive?
It,
God.
there's again, it's a mental illness. Everything is a mental illness, and you get to a point where maybe you give up, or maybe you can't deal with things, or
Right.
we do our best to survive, whatever that may be, even if those are detrimental to our survival. We're
Yeah.
gonna keep doing that. And for some people it's food, for other people it's drugs, for other people it's sex, for other people it's murder. We do what we need to do in order to get to the next day based on where we are. Like, we don't know anybody's situation.
Right.
So
Yeah, I shouldn't be judging them. You're right. Thank
yeah.
you. You put me in my place in a very polite way. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
you're welcome. I didn't even mean to, but thanks. Awesome.
Dude, so but do you lose a substantial amount of weight fasting for 10 days?
I wouldn't say substantial. Like, my normal, no, like, personally, like, I also exercise a lot, or just I don't exercise a lot. I'm very active most of the time. I fluctuate between 155 and 165, so I go back and forth. When I'm fasting, I'll drop maybe to like 150. I've never really went further down than that. And like I said, I don't always do 10-day fasts. Like, that's not like, oh, it's Monday, time for a 10-day
Yeah,
fast.
right.
Like,
Oh,
a 10-day fast is maybe like a once a year, maybe, just a very rarity. Most of the time I would do 1 to 3 day fast, like once a month kind of thing. I like to wait for like the full moon and be like, "Hey, full moon, this is for you."
Shut
And
up. Stop. Before I just try to understand that,
uh,
because I'm hoping that's how tall are you? How tall are you?
how tall? 6 foot.
Oh wow, dude, 6 foot five, 150 to 165. Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
man. Yeah, that's yeah, that is 150 is definitely on the slender end of 6 foot, right?
So I don't know, probably.
Or
Uh,
are you just like all head? Like you just have this big ass head. I'm almost thinking of the dude in the office that was dating Erin back in the day, but he was like 6'4".
huh.
Gabe, did you watch The Office at all?
I did used to watch The Office, but at the
Okay,
same time, I'll let go of everything. If you can spark the memory, maybe it'll come back.
so Gabe was the creepy guy when laser printers from Florida bought them out.
Yeah,
He was
yeah, yeah,
right
yeah.
there in the fucking like dark ass Japanese horror movies, and he would just like lurk, and he was all fucking head. He was in Silicon Valley as well. I don't know if you watched that, but like just a like a fucking typical like his role in life is to be 6'2", all
Hmm.
head and no fucking body, like
That's
just this
crazy.
big thing. Um,
Like I'm pretty like I can't say I'm like buff. I mean I'm muscular in a sense. You know I lift weights. Like I said, my normal walking around is one like 155 to 165. So let's just call it
yeah,
160. And then yeah when you go when you're fasting you drop down to 150. Like there's just no body fat. Like it just goes away. When I was doing keto for about 8 months, maybe 6 months or something like that, like I had literally zero body fat, and then I looked really freaking skinny. And yeah, I think I dropped down to maybe like 145. I've never been lower than that.
Well,
Um, and
that's
yeah,
amazing that the body holds that many carbs, where your body can like sustain and find sugar in different parts of you. Like it just makes you think how much fucking sugar you got on the daily, you know?
well, at that point, it starts like I said, it converts to fat, and it forgets about the sugar because the sugar's gone, and it starts working on fat, and that's why you start losing weight because you have fat deposits everywhere, and then
Right.
it takes that fat and converts it into ketones, and then you feed off of that. That's why if you do have any extra pounds, it would work for weight loss, and that's why there is all these diets that's like high fat, low carb diet. Don't eat sugar, eat avocados, and it
Right.
works because you start getting into that ketosis and you burn fat. But yeah, when you do it for long, I don't think ketosis is a long term diet. I think it's a hey, do it for some time and then do something else and then come back to it. It's very positive in that way. I feel like.
It doesn't seem sustainable to me, but I'm kind of ignorant to it, to be honest with you.
It,
But like, I also have love handles, right? So that's maybe if I did it, I'd be a believer, and I'd be like, okay, I got the discipline for it.
But hey, it's like that squishiness is nice, especially if you have a partner. I mean, I must like you probably have a partner. Like you need that squishiness is nice for love making, man. Like love handles are called love handles for a reason. If it's all
You know,
just muscle and bones,
that's a great point, man. Like, why are we fucking body shaming love handles when their name suggests that
s-
you're loved, right?
exactly.
Jesus, you see, you got the right mentality. I'm glad. I'm glad I found you, my friend.
Oh,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
I feel the same way.
Now I want to go back to this like, hey, full moon, I'm gonna fast because
Uh,
I really hope like that's a true thing. Like, is that some fucking cycle where like on the full moon it's pulling your body's water some way that allows you to do shit or
so for me personally, it's more spiritual. Like it's how should I say it? So the full moon is the symbol of the femininity, right? And ever since I became an artist, I've been trying to what's a good word? Just to balance, I guess, balance the masculinity and the femininity to just be a wholesome person.
so on the
And
East Coast, we call that metro. We used to make fun of it, but
ah,
essentially it was like metrosexual.
I remember that back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So yeah, again, if you go back and study any sort of like ancient readings, ancient teachings, some of the first steps into just like enlightenment, because I ever since I've heard the word of like self actualization, enlightenment, I've been obsessed with it. I was like, this is amazing. We can expand our consciousness. What? So I kind of started reading things about it when I gathered my own experiences. I guess like I found something. I was like, this is unexplainable. What does this mean? And I started finding information, and just kind of gauging my progress based on what it was written. I
what
was
did
like,
you find that was amazing? Like there was a weird set of coincidences that you were like, holy shit.
That was one of it. That was later on, like synchronicities that happen in life, and you're like, "What's happening?" But initially, it was just how I even got into art itself. You know, I was pre med. I was gonna go be a doctor, all these things, and then instead of it, I decided to walk away just from everything and decide to put a lot of my effort into my family, my parents, or my mom, my sister, my brother, and help her, at least help my mom run her business. And she does custom manufacturing, so there's a lot of things with her hands and just CNC routers and all that stuff. So initially, like I got into that and started, eating healthy, meditating, all that stuff, and started just uncovering a whole bunch of bullshit that I've had in my mind, just beliefs that I've been living on that haven't been serving me or anybody else. So once I let go of those, I had this strike of lightning, and it was the realization that I am the creator of my own existence, of my own experience, of everything that happens to me. I am responsible for it, and that shook me at a cellular level. Like it moved me. And from that point on, like I became a creator, I became a painter, a musician, clothes designer, like just a whole bunch of different
Lesbian.
things. Yeah, just everything, right? It just an expression of
I was about to say just the fucking expressionist,
yeah, an
huh?
expressionist. That's all it is. Yeah,
What
because
do you think? Like, why respond in that way to this realization?
well, if you're the creator of your reality, if you don't express your needs or your desires, then you're not creating your reality. Somebody else is creating your reality. And if somebody else is creating your reality, you're not living a life. You're living somebody else's life. And if you're living somebody else's life, might as well die, man. There's this quote by Shakespeare, "Give me liberty or give me death." And like that's my life, man. I will not.
Ben Franklin, that was Shakespeare.
Well, maybe it was Benjamin Franklin. I don't know. I don't know shit, dude. I don't know
You
anything.
gotta Google that. Hold on one second, because I've been reading this history book, and I'm not trying to like call you out on shit,
Oh,
but I'm
please, no,
just like
please do.
seriously wondering, like, is that
I,
not maybe official time? So I don't know you at all. Fill 30 seconds while I Google and people hear me type.
which is good. I fact check is number one. Yeah, I'm really bad at people's names, especially if people I haven't met. So
Hey, we were both wrong. Apparently, it is attributed to Patrick Henry from a speech he made to the Second Virginia Convention, March 23rd, 1775, St. John's Church in Richmond,
uh,
according to Wikipedia.
uh, that sounds beautiful. All right. Well, I'm okay. I
You
am
know,
okay with being wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong
it,
always.
it should have been some shit. He probably got it from Shakespeare, let's be honest, because those motherfuckers read. Dude, so I'm reading this book that's
Mm.
called The Quartet, and it's about America's second revolution. And
Ooh.
it's interesting, like you got to a point in your life where you're like looking within, and I guess I'm to a point in my life where I'm looking like to the past to
Mm-hmm.
understand. And it's all about the dudes who shaped America after the Revolutionary War. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
great, now a common enemy's gone. What the fuck do we do now? How do
Mm-hmm.
we maintain this national government when we're all about individual rights?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason I started thinking about maybe that was Franklin, because I've been reading a bunch of how these dudes just fucking studied everything. And again, they were almost degenerates. They just sat in bars fucking drinking and like
Mm-hmm.
reading and taking notes. But it was all about words with them. Like they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get up in front of dudes and say shit like that and say, fucking argue, man. Give me liberty, give me death.
Mm-hmm.
What side are you gonna take? Like that was their thing. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
It's
but that's why
okay.
that's why it kind of like spoke to me, because I was like, wait, were these guys just all fucking plagiarizing like playwriters of the 1500s?
Which I mean, it's all philosophy though. That's what it is. I've been listening to a lot of philosophy as well up until this point. Reading about other ways of living, other thoughts of school of thoughts, and I mean the same thing. It's like the same idea kind of gets pushed around and then gets added on and shifted and then reversed. Everything. Nothing is new under the sun. Everything is just plagiarism from somebody else that's smarter or better, and you just put your own
Literally,
spin on it.
I was about to ask you that. So if nothing's new, but yet you're a creator,
Hmm.
how do you feel about that paradigm?
So
Because you create if nothing's new.
So the thing is, we don't create anything new. We create based on the I guess the patterns laid out in front of us. So quick example is like if you see an amateur artist, they're gonna try their hardest to draw something. They're like, I want to draw a horse, and I'm gonna draw a horse, and you're gonna see a lot of even maybe just like jerky movements, all that stuff. You can see when somebody tried too hard. When an amazing artist, like a professional artist, he's gonna use the brush. He's not gonna use his effort. He's gonna use the shape of the brush to create the painting, right? He's gonna use something that's already in nature, like he'll take a leaf that already has a pattern in it, and maybe use the impression of it to create a sort of a pattern. Like look at Bob Ross. Just he didn't paint mountains. He didn't sit there and sketch out a mountain. He says, take this roll of bead of paint and just scrape it down. And the way that physics works, the way that paint or just a liquid will spread down a hard surface, will create a certain
image.
I mean, yeah, an illusion of something that is existing in nature. A great artist, they copy nature, and they try to express what is already around them. And I believe that's exactly where the quote came from. Good artists copy, great artists steal. I think the greatest artists, they just steal the concepts that's already around us that nature provides. That's what I do. Like all my artwork is like, not all of it, but a lot of my paintings, I use bilateral symmetry. I'll take random splatter art, abstract expressionism like Jackson Pollock, and I'll digitize it and I'll mirror it, and boom, you start getting totems and animals pop out, and it becomes very interesting to the eye because I take a simple concept of nature, bilateral symmetry. Like we're all that. Your face is that. Your body's that.
And the sexiest of us is the other people. Like it's a little issue, right?
Yeah.
That's another Office reference. That was the whole fucking episode. I believe it was Jennifer Gardner, where they like broke down the bilateral. That was Oscar's thing. He broke down the bilateral symmetry. Oh. It was like, that is scientific proof that she would be, I believe, the organism that we most want to reproduce with.
Yes.
Because her symmetry is perfect. And he had like 20 different points about like eyebrows, eyes, nose.
Oh. But that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And I'm sure there's going to be so many more people that are going to accept that reference. And I'm just like, yeah, huh? Like, I watch a lot of things. Well, that's a lie. I haven't watched a lot of things in years. But I used to watch a lot of things. And even then, I'd be like, awesome, great, move on, next episode. And then I just forget everything that ever happened. I'll finish watching a movie and they're like, what'd you feel about that? I was like, it made me feel good, but I don't remember anything. Yeah, let's watch it again.
Yeah. Dude, I spoke to a guy named Jared who is in Canada. He's a surreal artist. And something he said that I had not heard, because I asked him about surrealism. I'm like, dude, you guys are fucking psychos. Like, you just it in whack ass ways. And he's like, I really don't see anything. It's really more when I let go and let the pencil start going, and I just trust that it'll be something. He said, my art that's most fucked up when I start like interjecting myself in it before it is done. And I was like, holy shit, dude. Like that's some deep stuff where you're like tapping into a subconscious to let it be expressive. Create, almost like what you're saying.
That's exactly it. And that was the thought, that was the idea that took over my entire life, because if it can be true, because I'm a scientific person, so I was like, all right, let me check this out. I learned about like quantum mechanics a little bit, just a duality particle duality thing, and then entanglement, just a whole bunch of like just these simple ideas that have been passed down to us from science about how the observer, which is us, has a power in how the universe shapes itself, right? And I was like, okay, let's see this, right? Let's see this. So I started throwing paint at the canvas, at the wall, whatever. I was throwing paint at places, just to and holding an intention in my heart, just like an emotion, right? And I was just trying to express that emotion. So I was like, I'm not creating with any idea in mind. I don't want to make a pencil. I don't want to make anything. I just want to get this emotion out of me. First thing that happened, the emotion left, and I started feeling like relief. And I was like, holy shit, catharsis? Oh. I've never felt this before. I danced, I sang, like I got all these things out that I'd never allowed myself to do because I felt like society was watching me and judging me. And so first thing that happened is I found freedom. I was like, oh, this is good just because of that. And then when I started inspecting my paintings, I would see interesting things stand out. And I was like, what is this interesting thing? So I magnified it. I use a macro camera just to pull it out and just kind of look at it. And there was one painting or one image that stood out. And it was almost exactly the same thing that I drew like 2 years ago. It had the same meaning to me. It looked the same colors. And I was like, how the fuck did this happen? Like I drew something specifically and it looked crude and ugly. And then I had this, like a refined version that it was a little blip on this painting that I found, and it was the exact same expression. And for me, personally, it moved me so much. So I dove deeper into that. It's like, oh, I can express something without physically making it happen. And that painting turned into a book. Like I ended up just kind of translating each of these images into what it meant to me, and that book was just my, I guess, my journey to becoming this individual. Like certain thoughts came out of me, like again, understandings that I didn't necessarily hold conscious, but they were subconscious, and that painting brought it out of me. And it just continued to go forth from that. I understood that once you have a moment of this clarity, a moment of this creation, which again, it's not something that you as an individual create. It's something that you as a vessel allow to move through you. Like just the universe floods your body, and then you let it out through whatever means you can do it. You can, and then like for me, the most exciting part is then analyzing. It's like what just happened? What did it do, and what kind of information did it impart on me? And for me, like if you saw me right now, like I have colors all around me. Like I live and breathe color now. And before, black and white, monotonous. Now it's all about that expression. It's all about the color. It's all about the movement. And man, it when you as an as a mind try to get into that yeah, that's as Jared said to you, that's when you disrupt that connection, and then that's you start trying too hard and you're just trying to prove something, and your mind just disrupts that creative flow, and then what do you get? Mediocrity.
So you're seeing color, or I guess I should ask, like, why is the color important? Why can't black and white be stimulating, be creative? Do you just see it as two, like, yes, no?
So personally, I mean, black and white is still amazing. Like I love monochromatic art. I love photography
Just
in
the
that
way
way as
you
well.
said, I love monochromatic art. When I'm fucking stumbling over like black and white
Hmm.
is impressive to me, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to,
Ah.
you like have the fucking like the name for it when I'm like, yeah, black and white. You're like, oh, monochromatic art, absolutely. And I'm
Well,
like,
black and white is one type of monochromatic. You could have other types of monochromatic. Just like red. So I understand what you're saying. In like I like again, I live in Seattle, and it's gloomy all the time, and emotions are the same kind of gloom. Colors
um,
inherently have emotional properties. That's why in marketing it's very like McDonald's, yellow and red. Red's making you feel agitated, so you get out of there quick, because they're trying to make the line move. And yellow is inviting, so they're trying to get you there, make you feel happy. And then red, got your food, get the fuck out. So colors have a lot of inherent properties that affect
wow.
the mind. And okay, my job as an artist is to move people into, at least personally, get people to become their greatest self. So I use an explosion of colors, so to attack their mind, to attack their psyche, to feel something, and to hopefully unlodge something that's been stuck. I try to get other people to see my art the way I see my art, as a lattice, for them to place their mind upon. Like Carl Jung, or of Sigmund Freud, yeah. And to see
Was he an
yourself.
artist too?
Say again.
Like, was he an artist like
Well, well,
as well?
well, no,
He
but
wasn't just theorist?
no, like Sigmund Freud, he did the Rorschach test, the ink blot, and he would do again bilateral symmetry. That you show it to a patient, and you say, "What do you see?" And then they tell him, "I see a bat eating my father," and you're like, "Oh, daddy issues." So,
Yeah, no, I thought he was like a almost like Da Vinci's one fucking hell of an inventor, but at the same time, like motherfucker could draw, right? So I thought you meant that with like Freud has this secret art gallery somewhere that I've never heard of, where
I
he's like
wish.
making these like family portraits of like maybe his mother's fucking his father.
Oh, what if? What
That
if?
kind of shit, right? Like, is there a notebook somewhere where Freud just has all these dirty ass images he's sketching as
Oh,
he's like in class listening to lectures, looking down on fucking like whatever like 100 level psychology teachers in college?
Dude, I
That
bet he would too. And if anything, we need to spend resources on this. This is the real conspiracy theory, and we need to uncover this truth. Because if he's got something, it's gonna be freaking nuts. It's gonna be
go fund me
disgustingly
right
dirty.
now. We can get this started. Jesus.
I,
Yeah,
I
right.
will I will start digging. I will do it.
No, but that's what I was wondering, and I don't think I knew that he was the Rorschach dude, huh?
So Sigmund Freud, he started the ink blot test, the Rorschach test, and he's the one that created the psychology behind it. There's symbols, there's symbology that is in our subconscious that speaks about where we stand. So that's why he would show the blot, and he'd say, "What do you see?" And then they'd say, "Oh, I see that," and then he'd interpret it. He would do
Do
the
you
same
think
thing with
you had
dreams,
Do
huh?
you think you had like a happy blot, a sad blot, an angry blot, or do you think it was just like random ass drops, fold, let people interpret it, and it literally had no design prior to what people would interpret?
So again, based on my personal experience and the way that I approach it, I would create
As an
something
expert in the field, by the way, I'm just going to put that out there.
as an expert
As
in the
a
field.
forefront expert in this field.
I thank you very much. I do feel like that. Again, initially, especially if my intention is to get somebody to just place their mind upon it, you make it, you fold it, and you make an image, right? The brain is fantastic at recognizing patterns or faces, right? That's a survival instinct that's been imparted in us because of evolution.
Right.
So you make this image that will show something, and then your job as a psychologist to see where did their mind go based on something that's completely almost irrelevant, just a blotch of color or a blotch of just a shape, right? There's nothing written. This is your mother getting murdered. There's nothing. There's no picture. There's nothing. It's a piece of paper with ink and your mind. So that piece of paper acts as a window into the individual's mind, and that's what
Wow.
Freud would do. He would say, here's nothing. Let's see what your mind does with this nothing. And more often than not, it reveals a great depth about your personality, your inner work, your subconscious. And then with that, then you can start unraveling as a psychologist. Say, all right, why do you feel that way? How did that get there? How can we release that from you? And for me personally, that's how it happened for me, with me, and that's what I want other people to see. Take my art, place their mind in it, find some sort of attachment to it wherever it may be. There's a lot of hooks in the paintings usually because there's a lot of things happening, and that way you can start extracting. Just spend time with yourself, go inside and ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Why are these things happening? And then eventually, with enough questioning and with enough time spent with yourself, you can get to ground zero, like where I got to. And from that ground zero, it's nothing but freedom. It's sovereignty. It's you start to create your own world. Once you let go of all these hooks that you found and all of these labels that you've attached to yourself, you have free reign over who you become and what will happen.
Dude, I was literally about to ask when you brought up the hooks, man. Like you were actually in medical school, like accepted to medical school or like pre-med, or you had like the fucking robe on and the books and the whole shit.
So I went to University of Washington here in Seattle, and I completed my undergraduate study. I got my BA in biology and 2 associates in chemistry and biology. I took a year off to go work with a doctor, and that was my trial if I wanted to be in there. So
Uh,
shortly during that process of working with the doctor, he said, "Listen, you're incredible. Your mind is sharp. You are very talented. Like, I appreciate you as a person. I will send you to the med school that I went to in New York. You just say the word and you're in there." And just boom. I was like, "All right, cool your jets, doc. Let me see if I want to do this first."
Pump your brakes. Really, after a year, you still weren't sure, huh?
And then I worked with him for a year, and I thought about it, and it came to a point of realization. I was like, who am I to not take this chance? Like, this chance doesn't land on anybody's lap. Like, this man is saying he will like pave the road for me, basically. Like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it, right?
Right.
So I decided I was gonna do it. I said goodbye to all my friends, and as I'm driving home to my parents' home, at least, to tell them that I was gonna, finally take the plunge and say, all right, peace out. I was moved. I guess I had a realization during like that 7-minute drive, and it shifted
Oh,
my entire life because I understood that the path to medicine wasn't my own. I understood that the business of medicine wasn't as humanitarian as I thought, and it was about more so making money and in the prescription drug world rather than, all right, you're sick, you're hurting, let me do anything and everything to help you. Society isn't structured for the help of the sick. It's structured for,
The prop.
to the profit. You got to run a business
Yeah.
to stay in business. And I
Yeah.
understand that, but at the same time, that's not what I wanted. So even though I was going to tell my parents, I was like, goodbye, and I came home and I was like, hey, I'm quitting my job. I'm leaving my apartment. I'm leaving everything behind, and I'm going to come here and focus on helping you and spend time with you because you are what I want to do. I didn't want to lose the precious time of my sister's life. She was 5 at that time, and I knew if I was going to leave, I'd come back when she was 18. And when I was younger, it was my middle school age is when I was facing, again, depression. People were bullying me. I didn't have a father, and my stepdad died. Her dad died also around that time. So she would be, in my mind, she would be facing the same things, and she wouldn't have anybody to took up to. So I asked myself, is this position, is this medicine thing worth it? And it became not worth it after years of studying, after saying to everybody, it's like, oh, so you think you're going to be a doctor? It's like, I will be a doctor. For years after defending that position and striving to it just head on, I decided to walk away, and I was like, this isn't what I want to do. And
Yep.
thankfully, this came out of it. All the art came out of it. Like, I have never been more alive.
Well, you talk about getting off of, and I guess that's where I was thinking, man, like that fucking societal pressure of that, like, right? Like that's almost like picket fence. What do you have? Like 3.2 kids, the dog, the happy like spouse, like that's
Mm-hmm.
American dream type shit when you're
Mm-hmm.
going for a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're talking about when you're talking about these hooks where these people feel like they have to be these particular things because they get caught up in them?
That's definitely one part of it. Yeah, definitely. Because as we're growing up, we're structured by our parents, and initially we don't have defenses for it, right? Here's our parents; they know everything. We're going to listen to everything they say,
Yeah,
and
they survive.
exactly. I mean, you have to exactly. And
Yeah.
we all know our parents aren't perfect, just like we aren't perfect, and they're doing our best, just as we are doing our best. So their understandings of the world, of society, of business, of life gets imparted onto you, and you take that as God honest truth. It's 100% like this is immovable.
It is possible, right? Like it fucks you up when you learn your parents lie. It really does.
Exactly, and then that's when you start to uncover that, I don't know, just yourself. And society is the same way. It's like you have to do this in order to be successful. You have to do this to be loved. You have to do this to have money. And commercials play on that. Again, marketing plays on all of that. It plays on your psychology, on how your mind works, on how your evolutionary biology works. It tries to overtake you. And the moment you, first of all, realize that these things are happening, oh my gosh, you have a long road ahead of you to find out every belief that you have ever believed and ask yourself, did I put this here or did somebody else put this here?
Oh,
And,
Jesus.
exactly.
Yeah. Did I make this choice or was it made on me?
Exactly. So then you see all those, and you have to put every single one of them down. Like, love your family. I have to exercise, or I don't have to. Just anything and everything you've ever believed, put it down. And then once you get to a point of not just nothingness, non-belief, and a new scope of understanding, then you can say, all right, what are the beliefs that are going to serve me, create the best me that I want to be? And if that best you is a fat 600-pound person, you take that exercise thing and you put it away because you don't want that. But if you want to be successful in life, in the world, as a husband, as a father, as anything and everything, you say, all right, I want to be healthy. I want to be able to do things with my mind, with my body, with myself. I want to be able to express myself and fill my life with everything that I want it to be. Like, I want to live a dream, because why wouldn't you? You want to live the best possible life you can. And in order
And
to do
I,
that, you have to attach yourself to a different sort of belief systems that then, that you chose.
dude, I want to go down a conspiracy theory road with you of mine
Let's do it.
that dude, like the fucks me up, man. This fucks me up. So, college,
Hmm.
this idea of college, student debt. So, the more I think about this, what are student loans?
Hmm.
They're basically government backed ways to charge you 7% on fucking exorbitant amounts of money,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, fucking congressmen, senators, they all get lobbied to make this shit happen, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no fluctuating rate on credit. It is what it is. You get what you get. Fucking bend over, take it, shut up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do so many people do that? Well, your high schools are funded in large part by federal funds.
Mm-hmm.
What message do they need to pass on to children? College is important.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go to college. This is where you learn. This is how you get a job. This is where you become successful. This is independence. Where the more I like just listen to people speak, the more I'm like, it's a fucking falsehood, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying not all professions don't need college,
Mm-hmm.
but do you really need 130 fucking majors in a college? 4 years, 200 grand to be a fucking liberal arts or to be a teacher? Like, some of this shit don't make sense to me, man. And it almost goes to what you're saying about like, why do I feel this need? Why do I feel college is success? Is it this weird ass system that has been put in place to take advantage of me and my vulnerability for
Mm-hmm.
comfort, my desire for providing or sustaining a life, or
Mm-hmm.
control even.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the more I talk to different people, even like just in regions, man, the more I'm like, I don't like, I've always wanted my kid to go to college, but now I'm like, do I? I feel like the college is one of the biggest conspiracies, falsehoods almost, of our culture.
I would agree. Honestly, I would so agree. Even spending, still paying back loans for college and
Oh,
spending my time there,
are you, after 4 years, or you only went 4 years, you still are?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like I mean, 6 years later, still paying back. I still have like 10 grand left, which I mean isn't a lot, but man, that's like 6 years out of college, paying back, monthly and without missing anything. And having basically half of my things covered through financial aid. I still have
Oh,
10 grand left 6 years later, and I'm
yeah.
just like, ugh, come on, really? It is a ruse. It is a trap that a lot of people fall for. Because I mean, again, society sells it. And if you want to have a good career, if you want to have a good job, you have to go to college and you have to da 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 da. Da. But
Well, it
initially,
also, like, America doesn't have a fucking grow up ritual. College is the grow up ritual, right? Like, there is no fucking here's your spear, put on some war paint, hop in the fucking woods and slay a boar, come back and you're a man, right? Like, we don't have that shit. The closest thing would maybe be joining the military.
mm-hmm,
So all these families buy into this, like, college is where you grow up. And it seems like that shit is just getting fucking squeezed for every dime it's worth by who knows, man. Like, the money's so big, you almost can't even follow it.
mm-hmm. It's insanity. And even if it was a place where people go to grow up, many people don't do it. They don't kill the boar. They do not do that.
They come back with two squirrels and a frog, and they're like, is this good enough?
Yeah. Did I do good, Daddy? No. Go back out there. I mean, I'm all for it. Here's a heavy dose of, I don't know, psilocybin, let's call it. Go out into the woods and stay there for a week. Let's see what happens. I feel like that's a manhood ritual or just an adult ritual that we should all face. Because man, there's no greater foe than yourself.
Right, man. I don't know, man. Like, listening to you speak about that, and then because honestly, like, why are you sending your kid to college? Well, you want them to be happy, you want them to be able to, like, provide for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but are you doing that by encouraging them to go get a shitload of debt and then maybe get a job that they're unhappy with, but they feel forced into using whatever this bullshit education that they
Mm-hmm.
got helps them to get, in order to get this paycheck where they're now always trying to get more instead of being happy with what they have?
Mm-hmm. It is a
Like,
trap.
I just played out and I'm like, man, it seems odd. And dude, I value education. Like, fucking knowledge is
Oh, me
power,
too. Knowledge is the greatest. But
right? Like,
the way we're approaching it is nuts. It's crazy.
yeah, with the price tag. Like, we're scared to put a price tag on life with Corona, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the whole fucking economy shutting down, $2.2 trillion. and 25,000 people have died. So if
Mm-hmm.
it's 2 million people, that's like what, $100,000? I don't know if I did that math exactly. Maybe $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
$1 million per person we saved if 2 million people were expected to die.
Mm-hmm.
So we said your life is worth $1 million.
Dang.
That's weird, right? Well, now we're also saying in college, your future is worth 250,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we sure? Does it need to be valued that much? Like, the numbers and the way that America just goes all in on this capitalism is it helps me understand why like Bernie Sanders gets such support.
Mm-hmm.
It seems fucked up, man. Like you're going on with the marketing. Like it just seems like it ain't, like you're being almost manipulated, tricked into a trap, a snare. Like you're the boar running into a snare.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the one spearing the boar. You are the boar. They're eating you.
Well, that's what it is, and we know that the educational system hasn't been updated in a long time. And initially, it was put together so to have factory workers, and that's exactly what we're still doing in public school and even in colleges. Can you listen to the information? Can you take a test? Can you think enough to actually get a job done, but not think so much that you're going to question the authority that's telling you to do the job? Self-education is the thing right now. All the information that you would ever need is online. And I completely agree. Like if you are getting into chemistry or becoming a doctor, yeah, you should probably go work with people who have real life experience and a laboratory to experiment with. You're not going to have a whole lab set up at home that you're going to feel confident running. So yeah, go to college, do that. But like anything else,
right? Like there's basics you need, absolutely.
yeah. But it's like to get to that point, it's such a long journey to understand that you actually want to be a doctor. Like I'm not for paying doctors $500,000 a year. Like yeah, they provide a huge value to society, but at the same time, that person should be in there for the love of the job, for the love of humanity, to act that he gets to do a great job for these people who are sick and are helpless.
Right.
Like you don't go there be like, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to do whatever. That is not the right place to be. That we don't want that person there. Same thing with a teacher. A teacher should be paid way more. The hands of the next generation are, or the minds of the next generation are in their hands. And if they're overworked, overstressed, underpaid, what kind of next generation are we going to have? It's going to be a shitty one. There's insanity going on.
Well, it reminds me of like ounce of prevention worth a pound of the cure. And like with doctors, they're so fucking desperate. It's like they're the pound of the cure. So you're going to give what the fuck ever money you got to whoever can like alleviate this pain, this discomfort, and give you another fucking whatever month, year, week, hour. But like teachers, you're like, kids are resilient. They'll figure shit out. It don't really matter. Like, they'll just put them together. Is my kid safe? Yeah. Okay. They didn't get bit today. Great. Send them home. And it's like, why is that acceptable where that's formative years? And that'd be a fucking super cool social experiment. Like, could you take could we get Hawaii just fucking pay teachers like they were doctors, and like every fucking teacher, like all of a sudden, man, you're making $250,000 a year. And like, see how fucking good education is then. And then your doctors get paid like 60 grand, and you play that shit out fucking 30 years and just see like, what would would you need as many doctors? Would you need as much medicine if kids were educated in like what you were saying, nutrition, healthy living, artistic expression, contentness, lack of stress, right? Like all these things that doctors have to deal with almost like post-mortemously. I don't know if that worked, but like they're dealing with it after it's fucking there, where you could prevent it with like being brought up right, being educated to like be cool with you.
I completely agree. Well, like 100%. I think that'd be fascinating. Like, I was just listening to a podcast called Philosophize This by Stephen West, and it's one of the greatest podcasts, and it's about philosophy. And the last 4 episodes, he was covering, or at least in the last 4 episodes, he was talking about a different way to structure society. And one of them was where you limited government to just be like the bodyguard, right? They make sure that laws are being passed, but other than that, like, you want to live your life as long as it's legal, just do you, right? So he says that way you create an environment where if you want to create like a communistic community, feel free, go do that, figure out how it works. If there's something good, awesome, let us know. If there's something bad, we'll see it play out. So that way you have like thousands of petri dishes of different sort of ways to sustain a society, which again,
Right.
we as 350 million people are not a way to sustain a society. We're too big to manage. We're much easily managed in smaller communities. So that way you have a community of people, get a commune, get a city, whatever, run your experiment, share the findings, and in this case, you could do that. You'd be like, all right, this is going to be legal. We're going to pay teachers this much. We're going to teach doctors this much. How is it going to change? And I think it's going to go exactly like you said. Preventative measures going to take out. People are going to be smarter. They're going to make better decisions. They're going to be healthier all around. Doctors aren't going to be needed as much. And if a doctor is needed, they're going to do what just they will also teach preventative measures because they don't want to work too hard. Just like,
Yeah.
oh, let me cut you for no reason. They're not going to do unnecessary surgery. They're going to do anything unnecessary. So I think that's an amazing idea. I think we should definitely do that, like 100%.
So here's what what's today? Tuesday. So on Thursday, we're gonna find a fucking boat and we're gonna go find these Freud sketches. Okay. That might take what, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, right? Because we have internet. So 2 weeks later, we're gonna sell these doodles and we're gonna fucking buy an island. All right. And then we're gonna do Andrew, who is it, Yang? Where he was like,
yeah.
American dividend. We're gonna fucking pay people on a corona-free island to come be like in our petri dish. So we'll have this shit done, dude, in like 3.5 to 4 months.
That'd be super easy too, honestly.
I really feel like actually 3 months might be too long. Matter of fact, what month are we in? Is it April? Dude.
Yeah, we're in
By
April.
the time Corona's solved in July, we'll have everybody back. Like we'll already know the answers.
True, right? Everybody's just sitting around anyway. It's like let's do something good with this time.
No doubt. Like, motherfucker, why do you want to go to Mars? We own an island off of Tahiti. Come here.
Right?
Fucking hang out and be a part of this. Let's see what happens. Oh shit, bring your kid. Here's an extra $2,000. Fuck yeah. Why do you want to be with Elon on a fucking flight to Mars? Come with us, man. Get on a sailboat. We know what water is. You'll enjoy it.
Right? We got water. They ain't even got water up there. We got water.
No fucking doubt. You really want to wear an oxygen tank over your head? Stop it. We got air. Shit is fresh.
Right? We got bananas, we got water, we got air. I mean, we got everything. What else do you want?
What's the saddest part is like, there was a Netflix documentary, the Firefly Island or whatever, where they like coaxed all these people into spending like $5,000.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Like, our rule was going to be fucking great, and it was like a farce the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, if we had the right promotional company, we could actually get like 20,000 people to come.
Oh, I completely agree. Like, and it's all about the marketing and the storytelling. I mean, look at Apple. They did such a good job that even selling an inferior product, they can seem as better than. And I'm not saying the iPhone sucks. Don't get me wrong. The iPhone is a great piece of technology, but in a market where there's a lot of better options, everybody still sees the iPhone as the greatest option. And I'm like, that is factually untrue.
Walkers of billboards, fucking silhouettes with color. And maybe that goes to your color thing, dude. That's actually, I hadn't thought of that McDonald's thing that you had brought up before, but like, what was the fucking like board meeting? What was the managers meeting in Apple when they were doing those black silhouettes with like the splash of like hot pink, and then like the iPod or whatever was in like white? You know what I'm talking about? Or the silhouettes in white and the iPods in black. Like, how much thought was into like Columbia blue or fuchsia? Go. And then they just fucking go around the table with like 20 psychologists all like talking about the effects of these colors. Man.
Yeah, especially in bigger companies, like a lot goes into that. Like I do logos for, as a freelancer. I do a lot of design as a freelancer, and like a lot of thought goes behind every choice you make. And sometimes you get a customer that understands that and they're like, yeah, awesome. Other times you just a person that's like, whatever. It's like, all right, you don't understand what's happening, and that's fine. I'll just give you whatever you want, man, whatever you want. But marketers, I mean, they are some of the greatest psychologists, sociologists that you can find, because they have to make money based on their understanding of the human mind, and
that is the tricky part. So like, are they really revealing something to ourselves that we want on a subconscious level that we don't recognize?
they're definitely playing our weak points. That's for sure, because they understand our
Oh,
weak points. So they're like, all right, this person wants. We all want love, right? The reason why I am the way I am, like I decided, I was like, people want love. I'm just gonna give them love, and then just forego all the things, all the steps in between. But most of the time, people are saying, all right, they want love. How do I make them feel like they can get love? Oh, I'm gonna tell them that buying a Gucci purse is gonna make them feel loved. All right, so how am I gonna make this commercial that was gonna show that having a Gucci purse is gonna give them love? Oh, walking around with a Gucci purse, look at all the people looking at you. Oh, you're getting phone numbers. Oh, people buying you drinks. Da 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 da. Bam, you got love. And then somebody watching that, they want love. All I need is a Gucci purse, and then they buy it. And then they buy the cologne, and then they buy the shoes, because it also continues to sell on that same
wait,
this desire.
does the guy have the Gucci purse in this analogy, or
Well,
is the girl buying her own?
in
Or
in this analogy, it was a girl I was picturing, but at the same
okay,
time, it can be anything, right? Maybe a guy needs a Gucci purse to get laid, yo. It's like, the lady's gonna say, "Oh, look at that thing! It's better than my purse. I'm gonna get
you're
together with him."
not a fanny pack. It's a European man bag.
Ooh, ooh, I got a fanny pack for you, baby. I actually do. I make a fanny pack, and it's sexy, and it gives people love. So you can buy it on AndreyPsyche.com. Bam! Look at that. I just marketed.
You really? You make fanny packs?
Yeah,
Dad, fucking fanny pack?
yeah. I have I love my fanny pack. Yeah, I made a fanny pack, and it's all psychedelic in design. It's like purple, a little green, and just a lot of colors. And I also have like a shirt that's the same design as a fanny pack, and pants that's the same as a fanny pack. So I'll go out into the world, and I'm just like this one, just this one big design, and I look like I belong in an interdimensional place. And people are
Right?
like, "What's happening here?" And I'm just like, "Fanny pack or pants." People love my
You're
pants.
you're being marketed to. That's what.
Well,
Manipulated
that's what
bit.
it is. That's what it is. True. Honestly, that's what it is at the very end of the day. But you got to ask yourself, why are you marketing, right? Some people it's profit. Other people, I just want to love people, and I want other people to connect with other people that are loving other people. So it's like, for me, it's a way of life that I can actually, connect individuals into a society or a community that they're gonna feel welcomed and appreciated in, and then
About to
seen.
ask that. So, like, do you think of the psychedelic? And when you say psychedelic, I'm assuming like similar to like tie-dye-ish.
Yeah,
Am
that
I
that's
got
this
that right?
similar, but a lot more vibrant and a lot more designs and a lot more
Uh,
intricacies. Because I do spend a lot of time digitally enhancing things, popping things out. So tie dye is similar to it, but this is like tie dye on acid.
got you. So, like that, have you gone into, have you gotten into the science of tie-dye's appeal? Is that why you went that route? Or like just the artist where you were talking earlier about like totem poles and shit like that? And I shouldn't say shit like that because I feel like that's derogatory towards your art, and I
Oh no,
apologize.
oh
I need to
no.
get better with my words. But that artistic style led you towards this medium, or you actually found like, okay, this, the people who feel this way respond better to this type of color, this
So
type of
my journey has been personal through and through. Like I have not, ever since I looked inside, I have not looked outside even for a moment. So everything that is me now, I've just kind of created it up and then started attracting the people who are that way. And it just so happened that I established a mindset that hippies would connect with, because it's similar idea, universal love,
right.
namaste kind of stuff, yoga, all these things. And I just
Yeah.
found myself in this place by following my own heart, by following my own expression, which led me to this community. So it just I just got placed here, man. Like, the universe took over, and I was like, all right, you do you, and I'll just be here for the ride. And it's been amazing.
So, this is where, and you had told me before we started recording, but you're from Russia.
Yes.
So, like, I think I've read, fuck, what did I read? And I might not say his name right. Dostoevsky, Crime.
Dostoevsky.
Okay, say it one more time for me.
Dostoevsky.
So, Crime and Punishment.
Hmm.
Oh, I read it. I think I was trying to impress someone or just have it on my coffee table in case someone came over and I could like say a couple fucking things and I knew they wouldn't know what was like in it. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
I read that and I read The Fool, but The Fool was like fucking 1,000 pages, and I like on a train ride I made it through like
Mm-hmm.
120. Like never finished it.
Mm-hmm.
But my experience with Russian short stories, especially, like they're fucking morbid.
Mm-hmm.
They're cryptic. Like we don't trust, we don't love. Everyone is out to fuck us, and the government knows all.
Mm-hmm.
And here you are as that guy embracing fucking hippieism.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a weird contradiction to me, not in a judgmental
Oh, I
way, but in
understand.
a how did you get there way.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah,
I do agree with what you're saying with the perception as well of like the Russian individual, because I remember being that person too, and especially in Russia you do feel that weight, and maybe that's why so much alcoholism runs in Russian individuals.
like how do you escape, right? But on your fucking drink in your mind in your living room, right? Like how do you get away from that pressure, that yeah man, that they could fucking knock on my door at any time, like that
Mm-hmm.
shit real.
I agree, and at least personally, again, it's all about the expression, right? You can either live in fear or you can live in courage, right? Which courage is just action despite a fear. You still feel the fear, but you say, "I'm still going to do it." And for me, I still lived in that previous way you described for a long time, even after we moved to America. But I got to a point here when I said, "All right, I have this understanding that I have been living in fear. I have been living in not up to my fullest potential. How do I change that?" And I was like, all right, well, I have to seek this feeling of fear and understand that that is where I should be going, not what I should be going away from. That's where I should be going towards. So slowly I was like, okay, what am I afraid of? And, for the longest time, the most recent one for the longest time is, I've been afraid of people seeing me dance. I remember I was like 12.
I like how you said, I've been afraid, and I'm not laughing at your dancing because
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never seen it, but like just the fact that you were like, I've been afraid of people seeing me dance, yo.
Yeah, right? It's such a intimate experience. And I remember when I was like 12 dancing from the mirror and like if I hear something moving, I was like, oh, stop and run away. It's like no one shall ever see me dance. I don't know why that was a thing, but it got ingrained.
Part of the masculinity, femininity, metrosexualism that we were talking about, where like you're like gay if you dance, right? Like, oh my God, if you're into arts, what's wrong with you,
Oh, so
right?
true.
And
So
like,
true.
and I almost wonder, like the generation below us, like the current like 10-year-olds, I'm almost positive they don't feel that way.
Oh, no, they don't. You've been on TikTok? TikTok is the greatest place on earth. And
Dude,
they're dancing and they're expressing and they're singing. It's so
I
beautiful.
believe that's the world to let the Japanese steal everything they want, or the Chinese to steal everything they want from you. So I'm not a TikTok guy.
Yeah, they can steal a lot of things. Like that's their app and they're stealing a lot of things. But if
Right?
you forget about that for a moment, I'm not saying you should join, but
Just
just
stay in the moment, right? Stay in the moment, Sean. Stay in the moment.
the pure expression of the people that are getting on there, I think, like emotionally speaking, they're avoiding all of
Oh,
these pitfalls and they're able to express themselves on a world scale that will then hopefully later will account to better mental health. So yeah, maybe the Chinese will steal so many things because of it, but we're gonna have a stronger people for it. At
we're
least
gonna
that's
be
my.
happy
Yeah, we
stealing.
will be happier. Yeah,
No, well, so I didn't mean to cut you off, man, but
it's
I
okay.
just like it's interesting when like people have these feelings and then they get labeled as like a stigma towards them. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you like dancing, you're gay, and we don't
Mm-hmm.
like homosexuals in the house. And you're like, so shit, if I like dancing, I'm gay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, maybe you just got some fucking flow,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like maybe you just got that spirit in you, dude, where you like to vibe, right?
Hey,
Like,
yeah. And that's where I found
okay,
myself.
so
Yeah, that's where I found myself too. Like that's been the most recent one. I realized like, oh shit, dancing is the greatest thing, and I haven't explored that yet. I need to do it. So that was the most recent like fear that I've ran towards. And I'm a fucking fly dancer. Let me tell you what. Like I don't know how, but once you're in the flow, like art is art. So if you can do one piece of art well, you can do all the arts well, as long as you can again just get into the mind state of all right, put yourself out of here, and then let the universe flow through you, and then just not care about the judgments or what will people think, because that's
yeah,
the easiest way for you to get stumbled. Or what do they think of
dude,
me? That will
the
kill you
judgment,
fast. Yeah, the judgment
not
sucks.
even in sport, or not even in arts, but also in sports, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh
just
yeah.
fucking any, almost like any bodily, would it be bodily activity?
Yeah.
But it's super interesting that people are so fearful of judgment, especially
Mhm.
from people that don't mean shit to you,
Oh yeah. What are
like
they
have
gonna
no
think?
impact in your life. no doubt. And it's like, why the fuck do I care? And you almost have to have this like 5 minute talk with yourself to like get yourself off that like social anxiety ledge of
Mm-hmm.
how about I just be me and I'm fucking happy with me? And
Mm-hmm.
why do I want to not be me and let these people influence me to not be me and then make me an unhappy me?
That's exactly it. That's 100%. And I had the realization. It's like, all right,
Not always true, right?
I can either conform to these people, right, and then I'm not me, and these people like a person that isn't me, or I can be me and lose these people and still be me, not have people that don't like me, and then eventually find people who are like me to be my friends, and then I'm me with people who are like me who are my friends, and then they'd never make me
And,
feel shamed or less than for being myself. And that's where I've
and then,
gotten myself to. It's been amazing. Like you're an individual on that level. It's like you see me, you're like, hey, awesome, let's talk about all these crazy things. And I'm like, awesome, I love you. And it's like this is just where we at. Like this is the beauty that you can achieve.
so, and I think, and I didn't take notes. I've actually battled. People have told me, like while you're on podcasts, like take notes to try to do the topical thing. But I feel like that fucks up again, like the
Yeah.
what you were saying, like be in the moment. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
you try and you're trying to add like whatever, like say like 5 minutes on editing and re-listening, where it's like, dude, just fucking talk.
Mm-hmm.
But people have said, no, if you're professional, you're taking notes, and you understand. Like, fuck that. Anyway, yeah, I guess what I'm going for is like I can't remember when you were talking about the drive back to your mom. I think
Uh
it
huh.
might have been like a half hour ago.
Yeah. Who cares? But
But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, right. But I guess what I'm getting at is when you're talking about this be me, and at the same time, you've invested 4 years in college and you're on a drive to your parents to admit, and you come to this realization, does like fear hit you that like, shit, my mom's not going to accept me? I'm going to be a failure to my stepsister? Or are you just confident as hell that they're just going to embrace it and roll?
So maybe I'm spoiled in that way, but I think my mother supports me in any choice that I make. So when I was
That,
driving there and I had that realization, I thought I didn't even think twice about like, oh, is she gonna accept me? I was just like you said, it's just I came in there, hey, this is where I decided, and this is what's gonna happen, and
what's her name? Or what's her last name, I should say?
who?
Your mom.
My mom, her name?
Yeah, well, I didn't want to call her by her first name.
Oh,
I was raised like
well,
into like Mrs. or Miss.
oh, well, just her name's Lena. That's what she goes by is Lena. Like
Lena.
you can't say the last name. I honestly like that's why I go by Psyche because the last name is
Got yeah, and I fucked up Yatsky, so I'm not going to say her stuff. But
yeah.
Miss Linda, if you were listening, way to raise your fucking son right. The fact that you feel that way
Oh.
and that she raised you to feel that way, your mom should feel so fucking proud of the fact that she instilled that in you, man. Like
Oh.
that that's like some serious parenting. Like I would hope my daughter would feel that way, be honest with you. I
She
worry that she wouldn't, you know?
I agree. And I mean, she is a gem of a human. Honestly, she's a beautiful individual and she continues to grow too, you know. There's so many people that are just get stagnant, especially in their older years. You know, I'm an old dog, I can't teach new tricks. And she continues to push herself. She continues to learn and educate herself. And the same thing, just kind of give back to society. Is like, how can I help everybody else as well? She is one of the most angelic human beings on this planet, and I am lucky to be her son. Like, I wouldn't be me if I wasn't for her. Like
Yeah.
praise to her.
No, dude, clearly. I mean, like, honestly, I don't think that's normal. Like, if I had to say average, and I'm
Mhm.
not calling you abnormal, like, in that negative way,
Mhm.
but if you took the typical mother who has a child that's pre-med, going to be a doctor,
Mhm.
comes home and says, I'm going to get into some hippie ass, psychedelic, trippy art and see what happens, mom. And she's like, cool. What's your first drawing? Like, that shit can happen, but to maybe 5-10% of the population is through that. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying. Maybe if it happened that way, maybe there would have been some a firewall block up or something like that. But you know, I came in and it says I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do the doctor thing. I realized family was the important part, and I decided to just kind of focus all of my time attention on her and her business to kind of alleviate her pains of running a business on her own. So maybe that made it
Right.
easier for her. And then that's
Oh, yeah, right.
me learning how to work with customers, how to run a CNC router, how to program all these things led to a kind of sideways route to me expressing myself, because I understood how to, make drawings basically on a CNC router now. So I was etching something on a piece of granite, and then it was like, I don't know, it was a picture maybe of a football or something. I was trying to sell some Seahawks stuff. Don't sue me, please. But when it stopped, that's when I got the
Wow.
realization. Oh my gosh, I can make things. Like these hands aren't just for writing notes by the professor. I can create something with these hands that didn't exist. And that's when, oh my gosh, and then it just came flowing. It just the dam broke and boom, yeah, ooh, which took some time. Took some time.
Yeah, and man, like I don't think I've referenced so many movies or TV shows as I have with you, and I don't know why that is. Maybe I don't know, but it reminded me of Tom Hanks on Castaway, where
Mm-hmm.
his fucking excitement and creating fire,
Mm.
and he just goes off and like, I made fire, and it kind of goes back to what you were
Mm.
saying about people have this innate sense to create,
Mm-hmm.
and like we don't need to create fire. Like we have fucking lighters, like we have stoves. There's all these means to do it, and you don't feel like you're doing anything if you make a bonfire. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's not a huge sense of satisfaction, and I created that. Like we're gonna survive because of that. But going to art and being like, yo, I made something that's kind of fucking dope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that humanity's new? Holy shit! I invented the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Like I fucking figured something out, man. And I wonder if that's part of why people get such satisfaction in doing it.
Well, I think I honestly I think it's the same thing that you just said. I created fire, right? You're not creating something new, and this is picking back on the previous question way back when. It's like, how do I feel about creating something? But it's like you're not creating anything new. You're aligning yourself with the way the universe works. And then when you're connecting with the
Right.
universe, that's where, like, for me, that's where the spiritual connection came. And I was like, holy shit, I'm not just this individual. I'm a part of this greatness, this bigger thing. And at that point, I was still atheist. I didn't believe, like, the word God gave
Dude,
me the
I was,
heebie-jeebies, you know?
Jesus, I was literally about to be like, so you're fucking Russian and getting spiritual. Like, again, what a fucking contradiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because isn't that like prevalent in the culture over there? Like, fuck God, there is no God type shit.
Uh, so
There's
most of the Russians
God.
are,
Where am I going about that?
so the most of the Russians are Orthodox Christian. So I mean, I know that because there's mosques, and and then you go to Moscow, and they have the
Oh, right.
gold chapels and stuff. So there is God in Russia, and it's like, most of it is Orthodox Christian. Uh, to take it deeper, I don't know. I don't know how they are. Our family was never that way. We just were. Never went to church. Never did anything like that.
God.
Just like, do your best. But as I developed a scientific mind, I was like, okay, God. First of all, I thought art was a complete waste of time. I thought music was just background noise. I thought all these means of expressions were like you said, like pansies and sissies. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Go do something meaningful, you know. And yeah, God was like,
Go get some push-ups.
yeah, go do some push-ups.
Pull up, Mark.
And,
How about you worry about your fucking neck, not the color coordination of your outfit?
like that. But the funny thing is also, like, visual appearances for Russians is very important as well, because that's how you get the ladies. So you have these people thinking, oh, fuck all the stuff, but then let me look fly and sexy, and like, get the girls. And it's, I don't know, at least that was my experience. That's what I saw in the society where I grew up in as well, even when coming back to see the same thing. And I'm just like, all right, whatever. And yeah, I don't know. I thought God was made up. I didn't. There's no reason for it. I thought it was just a whole bunch of, it was a sales tactics. You need God to be a good person. I was like, the fuck you do? Just have morals.
Yeah, to
And
keep you in, right? Like it's a government thing to keep you in check, or
yeah,
we allow it. People act right, and we don't have to fucking deal with as much crime, right? Like guilt will keep 50% of the people from hurting each other, stealing, right?
yes. And honestly, like, I am 100%, like, I'm behind that now. After being a teacher, I was like, ooh, some people are not, like, the like, freedom in general is not for everybody. Like, freedom is, and especially right now, we don't have freedom. Like, in this country, we don't have freedom. It's a word that gets used that we have freedom, but we don't. Like, freedom is something you have to take and attain and fight for every single day.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's better to tell people you're free, so then they don't question it, and they just live, in their bubble
cool. Yeah,
without.
in their cage, right? Like everyone's in a cage. Everyone has limits of their freedom, for sure.
Exactly. And that's a good thing, because there's a lot of people who would do a lot of bad, a lot of hurt to other people if they were allowed total freedom. Like I've done this in an elementary school where I was like, all right, I'm different. I believe in just I believe in total freedom
You were
initially.
not that.
Yeah,
You were not that guy. That was the fucking no rules guy.
yeah. So yeah, I came in to my like beginning teaching. I was like, I trust you guys or whatever I did, and I regretted it in 10 minutes because those kids started running around, started hurting each other, started jumping. I was like, holy shit! If they have freedom, like total actual freedom, they would hurt themselves, hurt other people. They would just destroy anything and everything that's here that's been built. I was like, that is not the approach. Let's step back.
Did you never read Lord of the Flies?
Uh, Personally, maybe I did in middle school and high school. I don't know. I read it. I don't know. I don't remember
They're
things.
like British. Yeah, right. That's true. I apologize.
It's okay.
So again, like maybe that's why you're here on this moment to help me, or I'm sorry, for me to help you
Hmm.
jog your memory of everything you've forgotten. Perhaps that's why we're speaking right now, because I've brought up like more fucking like pop culture analogies with you than I feel like I ever have in my life. But Lord of the Flies, like kids are on a British plane, it crashes on an island, and then they're self-sustaining.
Hmm.
And these kids are trying to form their own government. They have this conch shell, and like they come up with the rule, like if you blow the conch shell, everyone stops, and we respect the conch shell. Whoever has the conch shell speak. Fat, overweight kid Piggy, and he has
You dropped out.
this whole debate of like,
Uh, what's happening? Why? Why are you leaving me? Can you hear me? No, Sean. Come back. Come back, Sean. Why? Why'd you run away from me? The internet. Are you there, Sean? Are you there, Sean? Come back, Sean. Where? What? Accept. Are you there, Sean? Are you there? Leave. Hello. Sean. Come back, Sean. Where are you, Sean? Call again. I will call you, Sean. Are you there, Sean? Hello. Hello, Sean. Can you hear me? Oh, come back. Sean. All right, call back. All right. There. Are you there, Sean?
hey, yeah, man, I hear you now.
Fantastic. All right.
Wait, so I went on a soliloquy and you were just like, man, this motherfucker's talking too much?
No, what? No. Oh, no. I'm looking forward to you continuing. You said the conch shell, and you have to respect the conch shell, and then it dropped off.
Oh, okay.
Am
Oh, shit, now I'm hearing. Is
I'm
that
he-
you calling me or me calling you?
I don't know, cause I'm not calling anybody anymore.
Yeah, man. Oh, there's a lag.
Oh, what?
Got you. Got you, got you, got you.
Okay.
Okay. So are you back?
Yeah, yes, I'm back. I'm definitely back. Please
Got
continue with your soliloquy.
No, I think I went on for like a minute and a half and then all of a sudden the line went dead.
Oh.
So I think it's kind of, but basically like these kids land on an island and
Mhm.
it's all about the conch shell and kids fucking like wanting power and figuring out how to work with each other.
Mm.
And the whole Lord of the Flies thing is like if people are left to their own, especially the younger they are,
Mm-hmm.
they'll just fuck each other up, man. Like it's just like physical dominance is what rules the day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, and part of it was, and literally like when the phone cut off, I was getting not judgmental, but
Uh-huh.
like kind of like, how did you never read this book? Like that's what you did in
Uh-huh.
an elementary class. Like you went full fucking Lord of the Flies, dude,
Yeah.
and just these kids go. I can't believe that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I had no training because I was a substitute. I had no training. They're like, "Hey, you just go and teach." I was like, "What do you mean? You're just gonna let me in here and teach? I've never done this before." And like they kind of eased me into it, and then again with my understandings at that point, I didn't want to control anybody. I didn't have any expectations of anybody. This was not the right approach for students. But again, like this is what I do in my personal life. You do you. I don't
Yeah,
expect anything out of you, and that creates freedom from just from anything. It's amazing. So I try to implement that in the kids, and yeah, it didn't work out because their non-expectation is, oh, let's just do a whole bunch of stupid things. It's like, no, don't do stupid things. And then once you've lost control, dude, you've lost control for the whole day, and
yeah.
it's just painful, bro. It's painful. So I had to regain a different approach, and structure the classroom in such a way that they think they have freedom of choice, but by the end of the day, they are doing what I want them to do. And
Dude,
honestly, that is society.
dude, the illusion of choice.
Yeah. And that is society. Like I had the understanding from teaching that most of society is just a whole bunch of middle school kids running around trying to pass along their pain to the next person. And I was like, "Oh, this sucks. No wonder our government's the way it is." Like I'm cool with it. Like it's cool. We could definitely do better. Like as individuals that have gotten their own freedom, their sovereignty, we could definitely do better for the rest of the humans. But at the same time, I can appreciate the government that we have because they're doing the least amount of damage right now. And way to go, y'all up there.
Dude, it's I'm telling you, man, reading, and I have no idea. Some people get into like sources, and again, this quartet book I'm reading is by Joseph Ellis, and I have no idea if he's like wherever the fuck he lays, like whatever, conservative, liberal, like however he's wording things. I just know the dude's vocabulary is about 12 levels above mine.
Mhm.
But the thought that went into pre-car, like it was like if you lived in Georgia, it took you fucking 4 days to get to DC to like speak to somebody, and by the time you got back, you had no idea what the fuck was going on with whatever your initial question was because the circumstances changed.
Dang.
And this like this value of your tribalism and just holding on to your localness
Mhm.
was so hard to fight because the centralized government was seen as you're English, you're British, you're a fucking a pond away, you're the whole fucking ocean away. Why are you controlling us? And I didn't realize, but like that's how the colonies actually saw like Virginia,
Mhm.
Washington, D.C. They were like, you're so fucking far away. How do you know about us?
Mhm.
Like, why do you give a shit about South Carolina? We don't trust you. You're not one of us.
Hmm.
And the fact that maybe less than 300 years later, we let Donald Trump get up there and
Mhm.
just fucking run shit. And we're
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, man, he's the president. We all buy in. Right? Like Fauci, cool man. Hey, you're a fucking doctor, and we're all gonna listen to you. Like over 50 fucking states and provinces. Like you're like, dude, we're not talking about 13 places and fucking ravens and horses. We're
Mhm.
talking about 50 states. The geographical area is insane, and
Mhm.
we all accept this centralized rule. And it really makes you wonder: do people just want to be controlled and have this fake sense of like security? Like, is that what we actually ultimately want? Is that why we get married?
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think so. It's comfort. Most people look for
right?
comfort. They don't want to challenge anything. They want a comfortable life where they know what's going to happen because it's easier that way. And I also you say getting married. I think that's the same reason as well. Because if you want to meet, that's why as well. What's it called? The divorce rate is also so high. People
Right?
find somebody, they're like, oh, they'll be with me, and it doesn't matter if they're compatible or not. They're just like, oh, I just don't want to be alone. At that comfort level, instead of like being alone for a long time, understanding who you are, what you actually want. That's a long journey, man. That's a
Dude,
lot of work. And then to
we're,
find somebody that's compatible with that individual, rather than just like, oh, let's try this one out. Like,
no doubt. Dude, it's almost like relational fasting. Maybe
yeah.
we should also do that. So, look, when we get everybody to our island, we're going to do a relational fasting. so that you can discover yourself. Um, and you will appreciate relationships more, just like after fasting. I'm sure you appreciate a meal more.
It's true. And to piggyback what you said, like I've been celibate for over 6 years, 7 years now. Same thing. It's the same
Wait, shut
exact thing.
the fuck up, dude.
Yeah, yeah. No, I yeah.
Stop, stop, stop. You went full moon on me, and I accepted that. I believe that as truth. You're not going to come here and talk about I've been celibate for 7 years as a 6 foot fit former Russian. I should ask, like, do you identify Russian or American, or do you
Um,
not think that way?
so I do remember maybe like 6 years ago, one of the final labels that I took off was that the label of Russian. Now I'm just an individual. I'm just a
All
man. Well,
right.
maybe I'm not even gonna say I'm a man. I just am. I am what I
All
am.
right. So, do you have hair?
I have hair.
Or are you bald? Yeah. So, dude, I'm calling bullshit. So, you're fucking what? You're
Uh,
30 something? Are
I,
you 30?
I'm 28 years old, and I'm I'm not to toot my own horn. I'm a sexy man.
Dude,
These aren't
yeah.
my words. These are not my words.
So, you're running around and you're saying I'm a 6 foot slender hair having man
I just
that's been celibate for 6 years.
oh yeah. The ladies hate it. The ladies hate it. I even had like a line like Fabio hair. I looked like Fabio for a good 5 years, and then I shaved it for just like
Shut the fuck up,
February.
dude.
No, I'll
Dude,
send you a picture.
you're yanking.
Say that last thing again.
Jesus Christ, dude. What is with this? What is with this? What's with the celibacy choice?
So in my youth, in my 18 when I became
Oh,
sexually active, I did what any other man would do. I was like, oh hey, you're pretty, let's go do this, and I did that for a while, and I enjoyed myself thoroughly. I really sex is the best. I mean, I don't think I have to convince anybody of that sex is amazing. But I had my first relationship, and that was interesting. It was 4 years of a lot of interesting things happening. She cheated on me. I was manipulating her. We were codependent. She got into heroin. I tried to save her. Realized I couldn't.
wow.
It just a whole bunch of things happened. So that one was behind me. Second girlfriend. Oh, most of the women I slept with also, they had like husbands or boyfriends, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. You want to
Wait,
get with me?
like before, during, or after?
What do you mean?
So like y'all were hooking up, you took a break, she found a husband, or
Oh no.
she had and you found her on fucking Tinder
Okay,
and she was just
oh,
looking for
Tinder
like
wasn't a
some.
thing. This is all face to face. First girlfriend, I meet her at a hot tub.
Oh,
She has a boyfriend and a husband. I was like, I need to get some of this. Why? I don't know. And then we dated for about 4 years. No wonder she cheated on me.
boyfriend and wait, so all right, I gotta. This is so out of my cultural norm that I'm beyond interested.
Okay.
You met at like, and maybe you're just the world's best tale teller.
Okay.
You met a fucking girl. Like, are there like spas, hot tubs? You're at a fucking hotel, and it's just like, hey, shit, she's alone, right? Like,
She was not even alone. 24-hour fitness, hanging out, working out. 18 years old, just got off of school or college or whatever, and just sitting in the sauna. And it's a co-ed sauna, and she's sitting there with her dad, and they're like messing around or something. And I think maybe that's her boyfriend or something because they're like close. And I don't know, she like says something, and I interject, and then we just started conversating, and she's looking fine. Like she's got a nice body. She's also 18. I mean, we're looking good. Jump in the hot tub, we talk, blah blah blah. She's into video games. I love video games. And then we talk, and then she leaves for a moment, and then her dad's like, "Hey, she's got a boyfriend. Leave her alone." I was like, "Whatever.
shit.
I'm just talking to her." And then eventually, and then he comes up and he's like, "All right, fine. If you're gonna do anything, just wait until she breaks up with her boyfriend." And she's also married, but they're trying to get like a divorce.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah.
She's 18 and she's married.
Yeah, she got married at like 16. Like that's the kind of person that she was, and they're trying to get a divorce, but she just wasn't going through with it, or they weren't going through with it, or whatever. So she wasn't necessarily together with the husband, but she was married and she had a boyfriend at that time. And then I was
You've
like,
really done a good job rationalizing this, by the way.
oh
Like,
yeah,
it's totally acceptable.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Like I lived with that for 4 years. I had to rationalize it every time, every day.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. And so I mean, eventually we got together. We had sex on my birthday, which was really nice. It was on a beanbag chair. It was very
Oh,
lovely. and
Didn't go waterbed. Good choice.
yeah,
Beanbags acceptable.
it was really nice. Never done it before on a beanbag. She was really nice and kind, and she bit me, and I enjoyed that. Um, so moving on to after whole that thing happened, that was second girlfriend. Also had a boyfriend of like 5 years, and here's me. Our initial interaction was a threesome with me and my friend, which I convinced her into. And my friend ended up touching my penis, and I was like, "That's not okay. We didn't agree to this. Get out." I'm really like skipping like that was like a 10-minute story on its own. It was hilarious, but I'm just kind of running through it. So I ended up dating her.
Wait, dude, I gotta stop you, man.
Okay.
So you and your boy are, and I honestly have like, I have no idea what the bounds are of, like, I mark these podcasts explicit, and I had one girl say she was celibate until she was 24, and then she had a child out of wedlock, and I was like, did you at least get to like enjoy a couple of years of getting it in, or was it like that first like time? And like that seems kind of like if the universe is fucking with you if you waited 24 years and like first time you have a kid, right? But so you and your boy are scheming on this girl, and what's the conversation between two 20-year-olds determining rules for bed? You're like, yo, if I'm at one end, you got to be at the other. Like, motherfucker, let's make sure our hands don't cross the equator. Like, I'm North America, you're South America. How does this shit work? Like, yo, I'm gonna take 5, go to the bathroom, you enjoy yourself. Then when I get back, I'm gonna tag out like tag team style. I'm so, and I don't know if I should be, but I'm so wondering what the pre-party conversation was like, dude.
So there wasn't one. So maybe that's probably why things happened the way it happened. See,
Yeah, you can't be mad at him then for breaking rules if you ain't got no pre-party conversation.
I right now I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. I should have been like, hey, don't touch my penis, and that's fair enough to say. But if he doesn't know, and we're all three having sex, that's a normal thing to do. But at that time, I was also very masculine. I was like, how dare you touch my penis? That's gay. Get the fuck out.
Well, trying to be a dancer.
Yeah, exactly. If like he's still one of my best friends, so it's like it doesn't matter. We're still cool. We just have a fun story together. But
yeah, hey, shut up, man.
yeah. It was such an interesting interaction. Like we met two women just at a bar, and they're good looking women, and they thought we were like 30. I was like, okay, whatever, we're like 20 something. They're like, meh. And they both have boyfriends, and we're like, we don't give a shit, we're just having fun.
At the bar or not at the bar? It's
at the bar. Yeah, they're hanging out. We're hanging out. We're singing karaoke. They're singing karaoke. And then I come up to them and was like, "Hey, what's up, ladies? Blah blah blah. Whatever. I don't know what I say anymore." And they're just like, they just kind of tag along, play some games. Then bar closes, and we go to Sherry's. Then we drive them home, and they're like, while we're at Sherry's, they're like, we do have boyfriends, but sucking ain't fucking. And we're like, yeah, sucking ain't fucking. Yeah, you're right. And
Jesus. So wait, how have you put that into your clothing line? Like, do you sneak that slogan in certain
sucking ain't fucking? You know what? Now that you say that, I might just kind of create a symbol around that word, that phrase, right? And I will make it into a shirt or something.
Can you please send me the first one, dude? I'm dead serious. Like, I want a sucking ain't fucking on some weird ass subliminal creative. Like, you give me like a headband, a fucking belt. I'll take a fanny pack and I'll just wear that shit up front, right? No. Like, that's what it is,
bro. I would do that. I will do that. I got time. Right. I'm creative.
Let's see if it flows. If it flows, man, I'd appreciate it.
Heck Jesus. Heck yeah.
Fucking Jesus.
Yeah, and then so basically like that night went off, and then she called me a week later because and I don't know why. I mean, she called me, so I thought.
We all know why.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but she called me a week later, and I was like, oh, cool. I don't know if she's interested in me or my friend, so like. I'll just call my friend over too. Obviously she called me, not him, but it doesn't matter. So she comes up. The two of us are there, and we're drinking, and she's like, you're being very timid right now. And I was like, timid? Oh. I'm respecting your boundaries because you have a boyfriend. But since you're saying you're timid, I just grabbed her by the back of the head to start making out with her. And she's like, ooh. And I was like, now go kiss my friend. And she's like, what? Yeah. She's like, what? Won't you be jealous? I was like, why would I be jealous? So she goes over there and makes out with my friend. And I was like, well, I think this threesome is happening. I don't know why I wanted it. I don't even know if I wanted it, but it was happening. So we came back. I had a lot to drink. I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank in like 8 years. I've been clean and sober like, but it doesn't matter. I had a lot to drink that time. Some AMFs, some whiskey, all that stuff. So we get upstairs and then my friend is downstairs taking a pee, and then it's me, her, and I upstairs. And she's like, I don't know if I want him around. Maybe I maybe just want you and me. I was like, okay, if you just want me, you and me, I'm gonna go kick him out. And then I start walking, and she's like, wait, no, I don't want him to feel bad. I was like, you don't want him to feel bad? We're gonna have a threesome. So he comes back up, and she's like, you got condoms? I was like, I have one condom. Here you go. And I throw it at my friend, and I raw dog all the time. I did it all the time back in the day. Yeah, me. And then so he's putting it on, and I can't get it up because I'm like whiskey dick over here. And then she's like touching me, and she's like, "Come on, Andre, come on." And I was like, "Hold on, let me pee." I was like, "My friend, take care of this. Like, you do what you do. I'm gonna be back." So I went down.
So I was like, one of my theories was correct. It was a tag team.
Yes. So
Okay.
I did want to do an Eiffel Tower. Like that was like, I don't know, that was a dream. So I went downstairs. I went to go pee. They're doing stuff upstairs. I come back, and then she's like, "Oh, Andre," and then she pushes him off, and she takes me, and she throws me on the bed, and she like climbs on top of me and just starts like grinding and touching and all these things. And I was like, "Oh yeah," and she's like, "I'm gonna get you hard." I was like, "Okay, you do you, baby," and she started just like touching me all over, and then I feel a nice grab on my penis. I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And then I noticed that her hands are on my like by my head, and I was like, "Wait a second, you're not the one grabbing my penis." And I threw her off, and I kicked him off, and I was like, "What are you doing? Get the fuck out!" So I made him walk home at like 4 a.m.
Oh, dude, what fucking dude? That's dirty. Jesus, I lost all respect for you,
Thank you.
man. You kicked your butt. Now, have you asked him? Was it intentional or was it mistaken?
So
Or was your hair just that great and he was just like, man, I'm sorry, dude, those locks were flowing. I couldn't fucking resist.
at that time didn't have locks, but he did do it out of love, because right before he grabbed my penis, he said, "I got you, bro," and he started wanking me. So I mean, and it's that, like, it is what it is. He wanted to get me, and I appreciate him now. Like, I love him so much for doing that. But the Andre at that time, the Andre of 2000 whatever year it was, was not receptive to that kind of love, and he kicked him out.
Dude, all that's going on in my head right now is like Nate Dogg's "It Ain't No Fun If the Homie Can't Have None."
He got a little bit of fun. I and then so in the morning game.
It has gotten me. By the way, when I post this, you may be the one that gets me kicked off of every fucking podcast platform.
Oh,
Like I'm really wondering, like, is there an extra warning? Like you put up with the description of this kind of shit?
Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ.
That's too funny.
I'm just wondering.
Hey, that's okay. If they kick you off, we'll start a new one. We'll start a new one,
Find
baby.
out, right? On the island, like in a fucking month and a half, we'll have this shit back up.
Cool. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we'll start it on our. We'll do it on our little island too. We'll do our experiment and start a new podcast on our island.
Yeah, we'll just interview all the suckers who came on via fucking Petri dish people. So, like, dude, your boy walks home. Like, what's the next conversation like? Like,
So-
you're like, "Bro, you touch my dick, I'm gonna fuck you up." And
No.
you're like, you caress his cheek, and they're like, "Hey, man, I just want you to know I love you, but just not in that way."
Oh.
Like, what is that conversation like?
So okay, so he leaves, and then I told her, I was like, "You're gonna have to make up for that moment." So she fucks me until like noon the next day, and then I drive her home. She gives me $20 for the ride, and I was like, "Ooh, perfect, $20 to take out my friend from breakfast." So I called him up, and I picked him up. We went out for breakfast, and we just had a chat. I was like, "Hey, I mean, it is what it is. Whatever happened, happened. I hope you're feeling fine. If you want to tell the story, we can tell the story. If you want to keep the story a secret, we can keep it between us. Like, it's up to you. You're the one that touched my penis." He's like, I thought it was a funny moment. I don't give a shit. I was like, all right. So funny story came out.
I have no idea. I thought I was treading lightly, like I said, with the girl who told her. So I had the pod I posted today.
Hmm.
Julio from West Virginia is a homosexual Hispanic,
Hmm.
and he was brought out because his mother on his Samsung phone found like old man porn and
Hmm.
was like, "Are you fucking gay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fucking gay. I like men." And like my man Julio at the fucking whatever like 80-minute mark just flat out spoke about how he was outed. And like it wasn't his choice or whatever. So you put that shit
Hmm.
up, but like, man, do you need like a discretion? I gotta go back and do some fun math, man. Like at the like 2 hour, 10-minute mark, um, don't let your kids Google Eiffel Tower and threesome in the same in the same search bar.
That's too
Um,
funny.
and and please always know to tip your man whore. Like,
What
what do you fucking get from that?
we did Eiffel Tower though. I tell you that that was a success. We did Eiffel
So
Tower.
how do you go from shit like that to celibacy?
So okay, yeah. So back on the story train.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, let's get back on track to the positive, moralistic approach that we like to have on the Getting
Yes,
to Know You
yes.
podcast.
Yes, which again, I had my fun. I knew what was out there, but every time it led to heartache. Every time it did not lead to the love that I was searching for. Because at the end of the day,
Uh,
I was just searching for love. I wanted to have somebody to love me, to love, and to have it, be reciprocated. So the first
yeah.
one didn't do it because I was broken. We were both broken. Second time also, I was searching for women who were taken. Obviously, my heart was getting broken, regardless
You
of what my
thought
intentions were.
you were actually searching for them, or you thought that's just what happened to be that you were finding?
That's just what I was finding, and whatever flowed, flowed. So not to say that they didn't give me a beautiful gift, The first one gave me experience for a millennia. The second girlfriend, she gave me understanding of gratitude. Like I didn't understand that at all. She kept thanking me for things. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you thanking me for things? And I was like, I'm just being grateful for you. I was like, what the fuck? Stop it. And then I came around, and now I'm grateful for everything. And then the third one came around, and she was the most amazing. Like I love her so much. We had such a free relationship. She came out of like running away from a wedding, like literally ran away from the altar, and then here's me, just like a new person that's just spiritually evolved now or some shit. And we had this relationship based on no expectations, no future, no nothing, and we were just there together, experiencing each other, enjoying ourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, and it was gorgeous. And one of the first things I told her was like, "Hey, if you ever want to leave, if you feel like I'm not enough for you, or if I'm holding you back, like the sky is yours. You fly, and I won't stop you." And like that was a huge growth moment for me because my first relationship, like I was the guy who bought the bird cage and stuffed the bird in the bird cage and says, "You're mine," So I felt a lot of growth in that moment. And then once she left, I knew what I knew what I wanted. I knew what kind of relationship I wanted. I knew that sex wasn't just physical. It was a lot more spiritual, and it was a lot more transcendental. And I felt that with her. And I was like, all right, so since I know what the true fruit of life tastes like, I don't want this scraps that I've been finding beforehand. And I did have a fourth girlfriend after that, and she gave me so much more. Like she inspired me to like all of the greatness that I am today. And she was only in my life for about 2 weeks, but after that, I was like, all right, I'm not gonna waste my time on whatever I was doing then. I'm gonna focus on building an individual that is worth receiving, a woman that is on another level, one that I can connect with on a spiritual, emotional, physical level, that we don't have to deal with each other's baggage because we took care of our baggage. An individual that's like, you can say like a soulmate, a divine
Yeah.
flame thing. So I
So
just start focusing on myself.
yeah. That was one of the things that I had not thought of. This whole soul group. Are you like a twin flame soul group kind of a guy?
That's something that has definitely been that I've connected with, like the emotion I've found in myself, and yeah, finding it in the internet, on the world, like the divine flame thing. I connected at 100%, especially going back to entanglement. In the quantum physics, there's always a particle that is entangled to another particle, and we're all just particles. And I believe that there is another particle that is connected to me, that is this other portion of me in a different body, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So I went there too, but not on your intellectual level. I think I went more simplistic with like matter is neither created nor destroyed.
Hmm.
Like if there's a finite amount of everything and it never fucking goes away, it never fucking redoes. It just is, right? So
Hmm.
like love. So like if a husband that loves his wife dies, that love goes somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the wife that loses a husband dies, that love goes somewhere. Like these emotions are things and they go places.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think of it on that basic level, and I never went to the whole like, dude, chemicals, atoms, protons, neutrons, like
Mm-hmm.
everything's attracted to something.
Mm-hmm.
There are basic chemical, is it reactions, is that the right word, that just fucking crave other chemicals, that
Mm-hmm.
need other chemicals to survive, they
Mm-hmm.
need other elements to survive. And after talking to Kylene, I always want to say Kylin, but it's
Mm-hmm.
too easy. So Kylene,
Mm-hmm.
um, I was like, dude, I never thought about that, but that seems very, not it, she called it like woo woo, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that shit sounds very scientific. Like at an atomical level, shit needs shit, man.
Oh
Like
yeah.
everything fucking wants to be with something. Nothing wants to isolate on its own.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Like even look at the oxygen that we breathe. It's O2. It's two oxygen
Yeah,
molecules bonded together. You know, it's you always finding that connection that will bring you to a level of stability. It's like
yeah,
and one individual is a radical particle. You know, that's what causes cancer in your body. Like oxygen by itself, that's a radical. It'll bounce around trying to connect to something, destroying things. So yeah, you need those two things to combine to create a stability. Unless you're noble gas. If you're a noble gas in chemistry speaking, then you're stable. You're good.
easily. You just went second level on me. I was gonna go back to society about like maybe that's why individuals love that control and
Mm-hmm.
that farce of societal control
Mm-hmm.
because they're seeking stability. Like and that is it, like homeostasis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all organisms seek that. Atoms, molecules, like you seek stability. You don't want to be, what's the opposite of the stability? Like not nuclear.
Well, instability is the opposite
Okay,
of
yeah, I guess
stability.
yeah, there you go. But like, yeah, like you don't want to fucking be like, man, I'm gonna split up. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like you don't. You seek stability, and it does get down to a molecular level.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. And that's what that was the realization that I had that kind of put me on this path. And
So,
quick,
how does celibacy lead you to stability?
so there is a lot of energy expenditure looking for a partner, right? So just if we're talking about sex, because you know you as a man, but as a woman too, you have to put in energy to find a sexual partner. That is a lot of energy. Like I remember I was like going to the bars, talking to people, dating apps, all these things. That is a lot of time. I instead went the other way and took that sexual energy, which you know, if you get into meditation and the chakra system, like your sacral what's it called, chakra, you know, that's where the sexual energy is formed, and you can use that in creative means. So like if you want to think about it this way, like all my creative art are just my sexual excretions in very colorful formats, you know, poetry, music. That's just my sexual energy getting out into the
Jesus.
world.
Now all I'm doing is fucking picturing you with the paintbrush, excreting onto a canvas.
Oh yeah, baby, get out of here.
Like, your art has now become so perverted. You know what? I don't want my fanny pack. Okay, I feel like it's just excretion, and I don't want to strap that on me.
Oh, it's too funny. but but that's what it was. Like the celibacy was just about, you know, conserving energy, and then again focusing on myself, understanding my worth at that time, not going back to a state of searching and trying to find something to fill me, and instead filling myself and finding a love within me. And that was when, again, just kind of understanding that feminine side, and you know, leaning into to my anima. You know, if you follow the Carl Jung thinking, we all have an animus and an anima, the masculine and feminine. So finding that femininity inside of yourself, loving it like you would a partner, and embodying that into yourself as you would, you know, an outside partner. And when I did that, that's when all the creativity came. That's when all the art came. That's when all of these just
Oh
confidence came. And
shit!
yeah, that's why now I feel like a whole being. Like, before I used to feel like a half. I feel like a whole being now. And now I'm looking for a whole being. And honestly, it's harder to find than a simple lay, unfortunately. So help me out, bro. Find a whole person for me.
Do you know? Because well, here's what I'm thinking, man. Like,
Uh-huh.
and has your mind gone here? Like, you seem to be on this like wicked creative self-realization path,
Mm-hmm.
and part of that seems almost driven through celibacy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you start getting some ass, you don't fear that you're back to just do some push-ups, stop fucking dancing, Andre? Like, man the fuck up, get some camo on. Like, you don't worry about, you don't think that'll go away? You don't think you'll lose this part of you that you've discovered?
Not even for a moment, honestly. Not even for a moment. I mean,
Wait,
there is
you
change.
want to lost half of it and then give away half and still maintain a whole?
I don't see how you would give anything away. Like, I understand, like, even in the family, maybe you'd be placed into a role, but that's why I'm trying to find an individual who also has is a female that is embodied her masculine. So we would both be not necessarily 50-50, but whatever
Uh,
situation would require from both of us, we could go there. So if it requires me dancing, I got that. If it requires her being the manager of a or a CEO of a company, she got that. So it's like it's no longer oh, here's me and here's you. It's like, here's us, and how can we grow together as people. So I'm hoping she'd also be a dancer. Like, I want to dance with people, and at the same time, like, dancing is sex. So if both people
yeah.
dance and they put that into romantic style, man, there's gonna be some nice fun stuff. There's gonna be some good stuff.
So now I've come to the realization that I feel like you use this to just kind of flaunt yourself,
Hmm.
and you're hoping that I have some sort of followers that you're gonna get like 40 fucking DMs from. I feel like you used me. I gotta be honest. I feel, I feel like you used me to find your partner, and I'm also gonna be honest.
Uh-huh.
Though I'm not involved in the threesome of you finding your partner, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I've been maybe a part of it without actually touching you. And I
Oh,
thank you for letting me experience that. That was exciting.
of course. Any moment, anytime, baby, anytime. But honestly though, if I can be completely frank, it's like initially the whole creative process was instigated to get myself to a point where I could see that other individual who's also been working on themselves, that then we could find that compatibility. It's
Right?
like, if you're down below amongst the crowd, you can't see anybody, but if you jump on the mountain, then you can see the only other person on the mountain. So it's like,
Right.
I had to start refining myself. I have to start refining my craft. I have to start, like, reaching out and finding my community and helping people, so that I could eventually find this one individual who I could be like, oh, there you fucking are. So at the
Right?
end of the day, maybe all of this is a sex drive, sexual drive, which,
Yeah,
if I
dude,
can tack onto this, I think if women stand a higher standard for themselves, I think what I am would be much more prevalent in the masculine society as well, the men, because like, if a woman's not going to put out, you either, like, don't have sex, or you have to do what you need to do in order to convince that woman that you're a worthy partner. So if these women have a higher standard of desire, men have to reach that higher standard, therefore bettering themselves to a point that maybe we don't have to deal with, the greed or the corruption or anything like that. If a woman wants like an honest, honorable man, that's what a man has to become in order to reprocreate and move the
oh, dude,
society
it's
forward,
market. Oh,
civilization.
100%. That's fucking market or demand, market dictating demand.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's right, but like, dude, 100%. Like, dudes are gonna be what women want them to be, because
Yeah.
especially now, like Me Too movement, like women have the power.
Oh yeah. They always have. They
Like,
always will.
yeah, but like they haven't always had, right? Like they've always had, but they always haven't had, because
Mm-hmm.
government never backed the rights of the weaker sex. And I don't think it's like masculine to say like women are weaker. I think that's just like a biological thing. Like I can't run faster and lift more than every woman, but
Mm-hmm.
I can run faster and lift more than the majority of women,
Mm-hmm.
because whatever my anatomical structure
Agree.
is and my testosterone allows me to do, like, it's just a fact of life, right? And like, for a long time, it was just like, I can fucking beat you up if I need to, therefore you're subservient.
Mm-hmm.
And our government has been like, dude, that's fucked up. We're people. Like, stop thinking that fucking way, dude. We're equal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's once you once you eliminate the physicality as far as being part of the equation of supremacy,
Mm-hmm.
what's left? Like, dude, I'm trying to get with you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have the power. Like, you fucking say no and I don't acknowledge your no, and I'm fucking gone. Like, I'm in jail. Like, my reputation's ruined. Like, I don't want that shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have the power. And you're absolutely right. Like, if women set a higher standard for what they wanted to be valued for,
Mm-hmm.
the market would shift.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guys would be be what the market demands it to be.
Exactly. And another reason why we're trying to take the power away from women, again through marketing, because guys don't want to face that. They want to control the women. They want to make sure they're insecure, and they don't want them to raise their standards. Because if they did, they have to change. And oh, do people fear anything more than change? No, they fear
Yeah.
change the most.
Yeah, yeah,
I love
yeah.
fear. I love change and fear. I love fear and change. Fear and change are the greatest.
Well, are those your two besties?
Vulnerability is one of my besties, but fear and change are my second favorites.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was just, I had a thought, and then the fear and change being your besties fucking
Knocked
nailed
it
it.
out.
Yeah, they did something. I'm trying to think of like a decent like imagery or pictorial analogy of what it fucking did for me. But it's almost like I was a train going down a railroad, and like some kid throws a fucking stone and hits the little lever that makes the train shift tracks, and the train's not aware that it shifted tracks. Um, but it's something, I don't know, like the male female relationship becoming one. Oh, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Seeking someone at an early age. Like, I really thought about that. And is that another societal pressure that's been marketed
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, if you don't find that person by 20 blank, you're fucked. You're
Mm-hmm.
alone.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? You can't have kids. You can't have, you want to be a mother at 35 with a newborn? Everyone's going to make fun of you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
who's going to want you? You can't have the right body. You can't. And there's all this shit that makes people merge before they're
Mm-hmm. No.
formed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, or do you think,
I agree. I think. Ooh.
I don't know, like,
Ooh, don't you cut out on me, Sean. Don't you cut out on me.
oh, did you hear me on that?
Repeat now. I,
Wait,
I think
you
you're
can't
back.
hear me anymore?
Now I can. Now I can. Okay, you're back.
Okay. All
Mate.
right, man, dude, I felt like I led into that shit really well.
Ah,
Fuck, man. I'm gonna try to grab that moment. Maybe I can edit it in GarageBand.
okay.
So what I was getting at is society pressures you to get, I feel like find a mate pretty early.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I'm wondering is, do you have the belief that people are formed at a certain age, as far as like you are this type of person who seeks this other type of mate that completes you? Or do you think people are actually never formed, which
Hmm.
is what leads to these divorces, this seeking more versus being content?
That is a very good question.
We're really young guys who don't know shit about life and are out here acting like we do.
It's so true, right? They're just sitting here
I know.
conceptualizing. Yeah, that's so funny. Uh, but definitely, definitely the society wants us to conform to the life that they want us to live, right? And get married and get a job, stay sane or safe or comforted or whatever. Because the earlier you do get together, the less likely a male, when you get together with a female, your testosterone goes down. You seek stability and safety instead of being radical and try to instill change in the world, right? So governments and people in power want people to get together earlier because then it'll be easier to manage, right? Now, from that,
Oh,
yeah. So from that same perspective, as you're being sold that, yeah, you're not going to be fully formed, so you're going to be fine whatever you have because you're insecure about yourself and you don't know how to do the inner work. So you're like, you come help me, and then you kind of hope that this relationship will help both of you grow, which it does, because if you're willing to listen, a woman is the greatest teacher of all time, whether she knows it or not. She will irritate you at those places where you need attention, and then if you can put your attention on those places of those irritants, then you can grow or ask yourself, like, why is this way? And then you can grow beyond that. You can fix that or mend it or move around it or whatever. A woman will always point out that which you are not or that which you don't want to be. Now, are you strong enough to take action with that information? I know I wasn't in the past. So that's where that relationship, that sort of connection happens. And I feel like if you do have two individuals that are dedicated to growth, then that connection can last a lifetime. It's like, yeah, I'm humble enough to say I'm wrong when I'm wrong, and if I hurt you, yeah, I'll be like, I didn't want to hurt you. If you're open enough to communicate, if you're open enough to love each other, and you don't have if you don't have an attachment to to being right, you can grow with anybody. You can grow with
Rob.
anybody.
Well,
It,
being right with pride, right? Like, so then, like, so, and I cut you off and I didn't let you
it's okay.
get to answer because it made me think of another question. So basically, what I heard is you don't think people are formed at any point. Would I be correct in saying that's your thought?
Uh, I would agree to that because I feel like the moment we're formed, I think that is the moment of enlightenment, like actual enlightenment, and I think at that point we transcend this plane in whatever form that would be.
So here's my follow up.
Hmm.
And I want to call you I want a title more so than Andre. Fuck man, like not Buddhist, not like fuck.
You
If
can
I was
you
if
can
I
use
was
my company name. My company name is Almighty Psyche, the all-powerful mind. So if you want to use that, you can.
nah, that doesn't do enough for it, man. I
Okay.
want like real enlightened wisdom. But
Mm,
if I just fucking read more, I'd be better at that. I'm sorry. All right,
that's okay.
here's what I was getting at.
Okay.
Fatal flaws
Hmm.
with genders. What do you believe are the male and female fatal flaws where they're just fucking, this is the issue that's why you can't fucking get along.
Hmm.
This is why you don't find what you're chemically seeking, biologically seeking. Like, dude, we're a fucking organism. End of the day, you want to get another organism to reproduce with, and then you have the awareness to say, I want stability, security, like, and it all goes from there, right? But
Hmm.
like, sex is sex because organisms reproduce.
Hmm.
But there's something that keeps us from enjoying that, from embracing that, from that being enough. So, what do you believe is the fatal flaw
Hmm.
for men and females? And whichever gender you speak about first will be the gender you hate more.
Well, I'm gonna go general here and talk about both the sexes because honestly, the insecurities that we all have are the biggest killer of any man or woman. Because
Ah,
if we're not secure with who we are as an individual, being able to speak our truth, being able to just even express our needs, which can be beaten out of us at an early age by our parents or society or your friends. You know, if you don't feel comfortable being yourself, you will never connect to any other individual because then you're
yeah,
not yourself. You know, you're
not you.
portraying a picture, and then that person either loves a picture of you or they're not able to see you for who you are, and they're loving a picture in their own mind. So there's never that connection between two individuals. There's a connection between an illusion and an illusion, and that doesn't work out because there's no stability there. It's two phantasms, it's two ghosts
Yeah,
interacting with each other. So it's not a male or female thing. It's just about insecurities. If you can be yourself, it doesn't matter. If you can be confident in yourself, it doesn't matter.
right.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna say that when are you running for governor of Washington? Because you just you just took a fucking loaded question and hit it out the park. Wait, that analogy makes no sense. How do you take it and hit it out of the park? That's two fucking different sports. That's not even two sports. Like that's bullshit. I got to get better at my game. Um, unlike you, who's
You're
fucking
amazing. I don't know what you're talking about. You're incredible. I love this. This is the greatest time I've ever had in my life.
right. So I want to do this thing, and if I fucking spent any money on this podcast, I had a streak going, and I forget who fucking ended it. It
Mm.
might have been. I'm trying to look back at some notes. Actually, you know what? Maybe it was Dali, the Spanish. Dude. So fucking Dali
Mhm.
in Spain, and again, he was in Uruguay. He went to Barcelona. He was homeless, and he started a fucking circus school. Like, talk about one of the
Whoa.
coolest people you can fucking
Whoa.
meet, right? Like, dude, you met your wife. You're in a fucking circus school. You're both contortionists. Let's get above like the stupid immature like sexual level and just growing as one type shit. But
Mm.
I think he was the dude. I had like 8 pods in a row where I got multiple good questions. And I almost want like a ding, like
Nice.
second in a row, bitch, right? Like just
Nice.
being able to like ask a question that makes someone fucking stop. Because I feel like when people say that's a good question, they hadn't maybe thought of it before and they're kind of like treading water, stalling because they don't
Mhm.
have that like immediate response.
Mhm.
So I thought I got you with one or two of those, which made me happy. But
Mhm.
I feel like Dolly fucked up my streak, man. I felt like I could have been on like a top 10 streak.
That would have been nice, man. That would have been nice.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
feel like I make that part of my shtick to
Yeah,
be honest.
saying that's a good question is a classic stalling technique. I mean, they teach that. If you don't know what to say, just say, repeat the question, say that's a good question. I mean,
Yeah,
it's classic.
150%. Anytime someone restates a question, you know they're not giving their gut reaction because they're either fearful of it or they hadn't processed it yet and they just want to make sure they're actually aligning what they're going to say with what they feel.
I agree. I agree. I agree with both of those. Sometimes it's fear, and sometimes it's making sure that you understand the question properly to give the right answer. I completely agree with both of those.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. When you say like, man, you're pretty good at this, I appreciate that. But I, I tend to rate myself on how many that's a good questions. I don't know if that's a fair metric, but that's how I find my value and that's my truth.
Mm.
And I need you to accept it and accept me for accepting that.
I will accept you for anything that you are, my friend. Truly and
There.
honestly, I love you so much. Like this whole experience has been beautiful.
Dude, it has. I feel like this is a record, man. And I forget when the other audio cut out. I don't even know how I'm gonna edit that shit together. It'll edit however it fucking edits. Because honestly, like I feel like these free flowing just talks. I don't know. I feel like there's a need for that for people just to fucking hear how people can actually talk in a very non-judgmental, non
Mm.
get my shit across way. Like I'm
Mm.
not trying to get anything from you. I don't think you're trying to get anything from me. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's just people exploring, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. It's almost like let me see if I can get this right. Conversational Karma Sutra.
Ooh, 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 baby.
Like a decent title.
Th-
Conversational Karma Sutra.
that sounds beautiful, and I think there's that alliteration, if I'm getting that right, just the k sound.
Oh,
Karma
dude,
Sutra,
I'm
Karma Sutra. That sounds nice. Rolls off the tongue. That's beautiful. That's poetry.
if you've never, so I do these stupid ass like ads at the beginning of all my podcasts
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have a sponsor. Like ultimately, I hope like I can make some money off of this shit where like
Sure, sure.
people will like someone will sponsor it and I can fucking whatever like spend money, make
Mm-hmm.
money.
Yeah,
But I make these stupid ass ads like today's show is sponsored by a fork.
yeah.
Today's show is sponsored by like um smoke detectors, street signs, whatever. Like I just think of stupid shit, and I
That's the
found them
best.
I found like, well, dude, like it's almost like meditation where like you're forced to just think of stupid ass things
Mm-hmm.
and what is your writing style? And I found like, I don't know why, dude, I fucking love alliteration.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something like what you said, the way it rolls off the tongue,
Mm-hmm.
there's something poetic without being rhymey,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time it is because you're rhyming initial syllables, just
Mm-hmm.
not the end syllables. So yeah, I don't know what your thing will be, what your sponsor, what the show to this will be.
I'm excited. That's such a beautiful thing too, and I think that's hilarious. This show is sponsored by a microphone. Yeah, if you can't talk to your friends if you don't have a microphone, please get your microphone now.
Dude, I did one with a mirror, and I'm like, mirrors, they're looking. Look back, give them a wink, wave at them,
you,
dude. Like dude. My first show was sponsored by like fucking flour tortillas, and I'm like, you really want to deal with toast that's gonna let shit drip all over you?
oh.
Haven't you ever been wrapped up right and embraced? Like, I'm telling you, dude, like to me, that's one of the more like creative parts is just thinking of stupid shit to like sponsor and making it almost try to sound like an ad. You know what
You're
I'm saying? Like,
you're a genius. Yes, this is fantastic.
I really doubt I'm a genius. But I would say that I have way too much time on my hands at this point.
Ain't a bad thing.
Yeah, dude, well, it goes to that like when you slow the fuck down and you get to think of like what you're into, like you have choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you choose, if you have choice, is actually kind of what you are. So if you're choosing to do this, maybe whatever in me, like it's always been like you just want to kind of be like this creative, stupid ass writer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I've kind of found.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
completely agree. And
yeah, man. Well, I was just gonna say, listen to a couple, man. I'd be interested to your take on them,
uh-huh.
just the way you think, to see how you take them.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be good to know. Good feedback.
No, for sure, for sure. Like already off the bat, I'm telling you, I love everything you just said. I'm excited to go and listen to them, the details of them, because yeah, the take that you would direct it in I think it's already hilarious. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'll tell you everything.
All right, man.
This is
Um,
awesome.
well, I also don't know how much I'm able to upload per episode because I'm not on like the unlimited plan. I'm on the premium,
Mm.
and I feel like I'm pushing those fucking limits. So what I'll end with is this, man. Is there anything, and I never got around to it, and it's never been this long before. So props, number one, props to you, Andre, for
Thanks.
being the longest lasting guest
Oh,
on this show.
oh, baby.
You've held up to the reputation, my friend.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
or should I say my acquaintance? I don't know what I would say. My internet, fuck, it was about there and then I lost it. My internet, yeah, it's gone. Anyway, is there anything about your story you haven't shared that
Uh,
you want?
so, I mean, um, that's an interesting question. I mean, there's an infinite amount of information that you could learn about an individual, which is why like I love talking to people. You will never be able to learn like the totality of who somebody is. So
Right?
like I've already told a story of my life on my podcast of like a few years ago, and that thing was a 3 hour conversation, and that didn't include half of the things that I talked about, you know. So just I can get deeper and deeper into everything. So like right now I'm okay with just signing off, obviously, and then continue with another future endeavor. You know, I can go for a long time. I haven't talked about my touring, my music career, my creative aspects, the things that I actually want to do with my life. Like you said
Oh,
something about running for governor. Like I've thought about doing politics in a way, you know,
well,
restructuring society.
didn't Seattle have someone that was fucking like 21 or something a couple years ago that actually ran and won some like mayor seat? Or am I wrong about that? Or do you not?
I don't know. I don't know. This has been a new fascination for me after the school thing and after just understanding like my role. Like I understand now that an artist's true role, at least in my understanding, is to get to a point of being able to structure their entire reality, right? Not just paintings, not just drawings, not just music, right? I've already kind of stepped it up from 2 dimensional to 3 dimensional to audio and so on and so forth. Like now marketing, you know, and teaching and marketing that involves human minds, consciousness.
Yeah.
So next step is politics. Like next step is structuring how other people will live and how they will experience their own life. Like an artist's job eventually is to create his own worlds, you know? Like I feel like
Oh,
once you die,
hubris, word of the day.
hubris. You know, like I think we're all training to be ultimate creators, you know. Like I think if you go into the scriptures of things, you know, again, I'm not necessarily a believer of an individual dogma or anything. But in my personal understanding and in my personal life, I think as we keep growing further and further, it is our job, maybe in alternate lifetimes, I don't know, to be gods, like the God that creates life on this planet. But then there's higher beings than you know, and then you always evolve because there's never necessarily a death. Even in my own personal life, there's always been a death of an individual and the rebirth of a new individual that sees the world differently. And you keep growing in like a spiral, and life isn't necessarily a straight line, right? It's a spiral. You keep revisiting the same problems with a different perspective, and then you can do different things. I think that's just life. You just keep going up in a spiral, and then it has no end and it has no beginning. I know
Dude,
that.
and when I talk to Kay, fuck man, it's just getting too late, and I fuck people's names up if I don't say them. So Kylene,
Mm-hmm.
she spelled it wrong, like phonetically, it just fucks with my mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like she was all into like past lives,
Mm-hmm.
and she gave me the analogy of the best one she had heard, which was picture a mirror, which you're looking at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now drop that mirror on the floor. All the shards that still see you are your past, present, and future lives.
Mm-hmm.
However, they're all on the same plane. And like she said that shit because what I'd asked her is like, do you believe life is like cyclical or it's like linear?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how we think as people. Like you're a fucking circle or you're a line, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
beginning and end, or shit just like keeps going in cycles. Um, and I feel like what you're saying is like it's this thing where like shit's just going on and we don't know if it's already happened, if it's gonna happen, if there is an end or if there is no end. It's
Mm-hmm.
just what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
man.
The only thing that is this right here, this moment. That's why I show up fully for this moment,
Right?
and then do that the next moment, and then the next moment, and then the next
Yeah,
moment.
you just fucking enjoy it, right? Like it just makes life so good when you don't worry about the fucking after, man. You just get to enjoy. It's probably why dudes come so quick, to be honest
Ah,
with you. right? Like they're so fucking worried. Like that's why dudes bust.
Oh,
Just so
oh no, totally. Yeah. If you're in the moment, you're not gonna bust. But if you're like worried about like, oh, I'm gonna come early, you will. You
yeah,
will. Just experience the moment. Lick the thighs and the lady bits and the face and just explore the body. Like that's
I
my
can't
favorite.
believe
Foreplay
you're
is
the
the best.
dude. You're the guy that gets me kicked off the internet.
I'm so sorry. Or you're welcome.
Yeah, no doubt. Well,
People will
yeah,
remember you. You are the guy who got kicked off of the internet, man. Like they will remember you. You'll be on the dark web. People will love you.
yeah, we'll find it. Yeah, right. I guess like selfish me is like if I can monetize it, I'm gonna roll with it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And then I'll be like your biggest lobbyist for fucking governor, dude.
Dude, honestly, hit me with it. I'm trying to do something. I don't know what, but I want to do something.
Right. All right, man, dude. I loved it how you're completely willing to come back on. Because yeah, I'd like to explore other shit, man. It honestly was, dude. It was real easy, and I try to end the show in like the cliche, like it was nice getting to know you, but I'm amazed at how easy it is to get to know people when you just talk,
Mm-hmm.
when you just get to fucking be in the now and talk. And I'm like, that is part of what I hope this podcast would do. Like, motherfucker, like go for a walk and just listen to shit and
Mm-hmm.
be into it and think about what you would say. Think about what you would do. Think about what the experience would feel like for you. Go for a drive. Go for a fucking bike ride. Like go somewhere where you can just be a part of something without distractions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I hope this thing will be. Who knows if it'll fucking catch on, man. But I really do. Andre, I really appreciate you, man, spending the time and giving us your enlightenment and your Jesus, my first threesome story. Fucking
You're welcome. And thank you, Sean, for literally this whole entire moment. It's been such a long and arduous moment, but it's been so pleasant. And it's as if it was honey on the lips, you know? It's such a tasty time. I definitely do look forward to future talks and, you know, just growing our relationship, you know? Once this is over, if I'm traveling through the world, you know, I do play music from places to places. I'd love to stop by your hometown and hang out and sing you
yeah,
some songs.
like I said, I'm in Delaware. I mean, we'll be Facebook friends from here on out. And like when shit's getting posted, that's part of what I'm trying to do too, is like use this as so I think I use Instagram mostly because Facebook, I got fucking like 30 requests from India that I feel were either all homosexuals or some sort of like farm where they're just trying to grab friends. Like it was odd. I don't know how it happened, but I'm trying to use this social media for like, if you're fucking traveling somewhere, it's like, oh shit, I'm going through Missouri. Let me hit this dude up, man. We had a fucking 2-hour talk. You know what I'm saying? And it would be fucking cool to be able to just have those kind of connections, you know?
I completely agree. Like so far, I've kept my Well, I mean, I have connections more or less throughout the United States, but I've only been able to get through the West Coast. But that's how it is. It's like I'll find myself in Oregon, and I was like, oh, my friend lives like nearby. I haven't seen him ever. Let's call him up, and then have dinner, conversation, and just like
Yeah,
get
right?
lost. It's so amazing.
Dude, it is. It seems old school in a sense where you get just fucking all in your current little like local. And it is funny, like even though we're a global market, we're very localized in our social interactions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome to fucking get lost in different people and just fucking embrace them. Like listen to them. Like, oh my God, you're weird. You're like, yeah, that's the weird dude I talked to for 3 hours one night, and we're gonna get to know him a little more now. Like, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's go fucking see what that's about, man, and enjoy it.
That's beautiful. That is very beautiful. All right,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go pee. But just so you know, my longest podcast is 4 hours.
all right. Well, I'm sorry I can top that, but I clearly don't have the stamina you do.
That's okay. One day. One day.
I'm gonna go do some core, maybe some flanks, try to tighten that shit up, man.
Ooh, since we're talking about push-ups, do a planche. It's like a push-up without using your legs, and it's not a handstand push-up. It's literally a push-up without using your legs. Just Google a planche. That's my goal to do it in my life before I die.
Okay, push up without. All right, yeah, I'm on it.
All right, we'll talk about it later.
Andre, man, appreciate it, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you too. Love you, bro. See ya.